I think we may eke out 50 if we keep the sunshine long enough here today amid a very light east to southeast breeze, and that's going to help to import the milder air that will take us into the middle and latter portion of this week. But a cold start, needless to say, across the area. 40s to near 50 this afternoon. We'll start to see a few high wispy clouds beginning to build into the skies, and then they thicken up as we head through the overnight period into the beginning of your Wednesday. Starting off with the clouds in place, that will keep our temperatures buoyed during the overnight period. 30s to start off early tomorrow morning, on our way towards the middle and upper 50s by the afternoon hours. I think we'll actually see a couple of breaks in the clouds for Wednesday night into Thursday. I think we'll see some sun peaks here and there as we head through the next few days. Again, upper 50s near 60 heading into your Thursday. And here we go into Friday, very early Friday morning at least. Rain to the west of us, and some of that rain will spill in our direction. Not the whole kit and caboodle, but at least some opportunities for showers coming into the fold as we head towards your Thursday night into your Friday. But locally and regionally and nationally, the weather pretty quiet for us the next couple of days, including for Thursday. If you've got travel plans, which the FAA is thinking that Thursday is probably going to be one of the peak travel days across the nation with the highest number of flights since Thanksgiving, probably not looking half bad. Of course, we'll probably deal with the clouds here on Thursday, back and forth between that and sunshine, a high near 60, 67 New Orleans. You've got rain that will likely be impacting the southern plains all the way through Texas. So soggy travels if you're traveling on I-40 heading out towards the west through Oklahoma, maybe taking I-30 down towards Dallas and Fort Worth. Waco, Texas is 66, 76 down at Laredo, Texas, and valley fog banks across the Intermountain West. And new system coming on board during the week, and that will actually be our Christmas system that will be coming on the West Coast. 59 degrees for a high in Los Angeles on Thursday, 76 in Phoenix, Arizona. Sun and clouds down across the Florida Peninsula and the coastal empire, the low country, and across the East Coast. Even colder, though, and brisk across the New England states, 25 degrees up in Burlington, Vermont. Soggy sleigh ride for Santa on the way for the weekend. Of course, that is your first alert. Of course, getting out of this chill, got to move on to the next thing, right? Giving you that first alert to a soggy weekend across the region with periods of rain that may not rain constantly, but there will be rain and a few thunderstorms. No severe weather, but obviously with the rain, travel impacts will likely be in play, and mild temperatures, so not a white Christmas, at least here locally. You go out west, you might be running into some snowflakes flying across the Intermountain West, the Front Range, and back over into western Kansas and Nebraska. But for us, it's just going to be rain shower activity, and maybe again a few rumbles of thunder as an area of low pressure makes its way off towards the east. Now that's going to keep our temperatures pretty mild. Likely have temperatures in the lower 60s for highs for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And eventually a cold front comes sweeping through the area. It's going to take its sweet time to move through the area. That will eventually clear us out, but it's probably going to take until like the middle and latter portion of next week before we finally get another system to kind of sweep on through here and kind of clear us out. So once we get into the clouds the next couple of days, we don't break back out of them for a while. So 48 today, enjoy the sunshine while we have it. We'll still see some peaks of sun Wednesday, Thursday, highs creeping up an additional 10 degrees between today and tomorrow. Near 60 by Thursday. We'll stay in the upper 50s and low 60s Friday, Saturday, and then lower 60s through the weekend. Of course, adding in those opportunities for showers, maybe a few rumbles of thunder on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Like I said, a soggy way to get into Christmas, but at least it's not single-digit temperatures, no ice, no snow. If you remember last year, not only did we have to deal with the frigid cold temperatures where we got down to as low as 1 degree here in Memphis, then on the back end of Christmas, we had that icy situation unfold too. So, you know, you kind of had to deal with a couple of different things during the Christmas season last year. Thankfully, not the case this year. It's just the rain showers, and of course, we can get through that with no problems, I feel like.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And winter is coming, as they say, Thursday, right? And it's going to be pretty mild.
Yeah. When you think about it, again, the average high right now is like 53 degrees. 60 on Thursday is our high. And then we've got 50s for lows by the time we head towards the weekend. So definitely a big change up for us. So if you're a fan of winter feels, enjoy today, because after that, we're not seeing anything wintry feeling until probably the middle or latter portion of next week.
Perfect. All right, Patrick Ellis joining us now to help us make sense of what the next 7 days are going to be. We appreciate it, Patrick. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, another live look from our beautiful High Five camera, Midtown Memphis, as the sun is beginning to shine on Memphis and the Mid-South at 7:07, a chilly 29 degrees. Back after this. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. 29 chilly degrees at 7:08. We'll be talking more about the forecast and the warming trend on the way. Okay, now let's talk about some changes. A lot of anticipation coming when it comes to MATA's board of, their board meeting this afternoon. Many riders wondering if their normal routes to school, work, or around the city of Memphis will be canceled. The original proposal is included suspending all of their routes after 7 o'clock at night on weekdays and weekends. It also includes eliminating 7 routes, including Memphis International Airport, Central and Walnut Grove, and Perkins Road. MATA leaders say after nearly 150 public comments at meetings, they're come up with some alternative plans, and they will discuss all kinds of different options that include some amendments to the original plan. With those amendments, still 6 routes face being eliminated, and all 4 of the proposals being discussed today. Advocates for the riders say they're not pleased, but when asked about how the changes will affect those who do rely on low ridership routes, MATA leaders released a statement saying, quote, as MATA looks to better align themselves with resources available with the current commute habit, our focus is to enhance service excellence by providing more targeted and reliable trips. Okay, so that meeting is scheduled for 3:30 today. Looking ahead towards the future of Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium now, millions of dollars up for grabs. Not everyone is on board. Ownership and funding, certainly an issue that is coming to the Memphis City Council, and it could kill the deal. So last month, the city of Memphis the city leaders proposed transferring their ownership to the stadium to the University of Memphis. The transfer came with major funding recently awarded to the state, as well as a $50 million donation from FedEx founder Fred Smith. The proposal was pending Memphis City Council approval. If approved, it would go into effect December 30th, and that would also trigger millions of dollars coming from matching funds with the university and state funds to the tune of over $100 million. Well, last month, at the last city council meeting, J.B. Smiley proposed adding board seats to that transfer deal, and that could kill the deal. Memphis Mayor Jim Strickland said that he presented this meeting and this proposal. Council members were frustrated, they say, about this last-minute proposal. Again, they now have a deadline to look at all this stuff. So we'll continue to follow it here on Action News 5. Memphis police also need your help finding the people who shot at each other in broad daylight. SkyCop cameras picked this up here. This is Sunday morning off Chiswood and Covington Pike in Raleigh. There were 2 separate vehicles firing shots at each other. A home was struck in the crossfire. No one was hurt. Cars quickly drove away. Please call or text Crime Stoppers anonymously with any information at 901-528-CASH. Tennessee State transportation leaders sharing more about how we could see choice lanes across the state. That's better known as HOV lanes in other areas. They are these express lanes that you have to pay in order to use and bypass traffic. Optional lanes would be designed, built, maintained by a private partner with the state. The price depends on traffic congestion and how it would change throughout the day. State transportation leaders say it's the best option to fix traffic without raising taxes or going into debt. And this is big news that was released. Tennessee Department of Transportation planning on building a brand new I-55 bridge to replace the current structure. TDOT said the goal would be to improve the key connector safety, the bridge modernization, resiliency, earthquake resistance. Every day, the bridge services about 64,000 vehicles transporting people, workers, freight between Tennessee, Mississippi, and Arkansas. The planned project would begin in 2026. It would also increase capacity to improve mobility, remove bottlenecks, manage traffic flow, and operations. All right, let's talk about Ja Morant. He is expected to play tonight when the Grizzlies are in New Orleans facing off against the Pelicans. And this is a big deal. The Grizzlies right now have been hurting since the 25-game suspension was levied on Ja Morant. In those 25 games, the Grizzlies have gone just 6-19. That's good for 13th in the Western Conference Finals out of 15 teams. So this will be a game that most likely he will come off the bench and play. He is certainly, he has been practicing with the team and rallying around the team, but he hasn't had that in-game action yet. So there's going to be a little bit of time there where he needs to get that kind of in-game shape ready to go. So there are the upcoming home games. After this game in New Orleans, you got a game against Indiana coming up on Thursday. Then you got Sacramento on New Year's Eve, both at home at FedEx Forum. And certainly those are highly anticipated games. We're going to take a short break. Back in 60 seconds. Back here in the Action News 5 digital desk, I want to play you something right now. Check this out.
It's time to spread the news, chase away those holiday blues.
That was Larita Shelby, a.k.a. Jazzy Rita, and Willie Daniels. They are Memphis songwriters living in L.A., and they are joining us right now on the Action News 5 digital desk to talk more about who they are, the song, and what's happening with them. And I love it. I love the sultry sounds of your voice. Larita, good morning to you. How are things?
Hi, thank you. Good morning, Memphis. Yes, when Willie and I were in school at Overton High School, my name is still Larita Shelby, but when I'm doing music, I'm Jazzy Rita. I'm a lyricist, and I write the melodies, and the fabulous Willie Daniels puts the amazing music to it, and that's our new holiday song.
Fantastic. I love it. And tell me more about, you said Overton High School. Tell me more. Give me your background, and Willie would love to hear from you as well.
Okay, Willie, you start.
Well, I'm a born Memphian. Hi, everybody. I'm born from Memphis, Tennessee. I went to Overton High School and I met my friend Larita Shelby. We was under the late Lula Hedgeman, who trained us vocally and to get ready for everything that we need to do in music. And we're on that journey to proceed to hit that goal.
Yes, so we're proud Overton alums, but Willie's mother is in the background there. She was a Memphis musician, a church musician. Here's my mama back when she was on WDIA back in the day. She was a Memphis musician. Many years ago, I'm dating myself. When I worked at Liberty Land under the direction of Melinda Grable, I was in the Memphis Music Show. So Memphis is all in our blood, and the late, great Ruby Wilson was my godmother. So I was encouraged to write songs as a teenager when David Porter visited my house and said, young lady, you should learn to write. And so Willie and I reconnected in Los Angeles many years ago. And we're so thankful that Real Holiday Love by Jazzy Rita Shelby is getting airplay all over the world. And we've actually been told that there were people who weren't going to celebrate the holidays because of certain life events, but after they heard the song, they decided to have the holiday spirit.
I love it. You've connected with so many Memphians that remember Liberty Park fondly, including our producer, Amanda Hanson. Tell me about the inspiration that goes into a Memphis couple who decides, okay, we're going to move to LA and we're going to start a life there. How does that happen?
Well, Willie, since it's your birthday, Willie Daniels, you start. Happy birthday, Willie.
Thank you, likewise. You know I'm quiet. First of all, we're just good friends. We're not a couple. We're a music couple, and everything started for me from church. I played for the late Oris Mays Boston Baptist Church family, and the late Gilbert Earl Patterson Hello family, and so on and so on, and went to school to culture my music, so to make sure that I had what I need and the knowledge of what I need to know where I'm going. And I hooked up with my friend Larita when I saw her in Los Angeles. I'm sorry, and we were at the mall, and we froze and said, "Is that her?" Wasn't sure. And then I saw her on TV.
Actually, it was at the CC Winans concert at the Forum, and that concert was being directed by Cerise Johns, a fellow Memphian. And so that's how this all came together. So music has been a part of our lives, and Memphis has been supportive of me ever since my teen years. And some of y'all know exactly when that was, when I was Miss Black Memphis and Miss Black Tennessee. I was Miss Black Everybody one year. And by the way, I'm Black every Friday. So no matter who you are, please, you can ask Echo, Alexa, or Siri to play Real Holiday Love. But more importantly, the music is not just about us. It comes through us to encourage you, to inspire you. Let's face it, it's been quite a year for people all over the world. And thanks to Willie Daniels, he plays like he's the cat sitting at the gig in my head. And we're able to put this music together. We performed live in Memphis a couple of years ago at the Birth of Soul, thanks to George Barnes and George Tillman. So it's a family affair, and we're proud Memphis musicians.
Fantastic. Okay, so where can, first off, I understand, the Rita, that you are a part of a couple new movies, and that we could see you on the big screen coming up. Tell us more about that.
Yes, I am co-starring in what was the #1 movie on Tubi called Still Here. It's kind of a horror thriller. Still Here. I play Amanda, a fabulous book publishing agent, and I'm also starring in the series Foster's Law on Urban Flix TV. That is yet another gripping role. But the thing that's different about that is we don't just show a family that's in turmoil and dysfunction. If you stay with it, you will see someone who follows through and gets treatment, becomes a better person. And I was blessed to start in the urban classic South Central, which was produced by Oliver Stone many years ago. So we stay busy in these California streets. We have to, thanks to Willie Daniels and our producer, Michael Wells. We will be creating music for the rest of our lives. It's our legacy, and won't stop, can't stop, won't stop. We're celebrating Real Holiday Love.
So, Willie, let me ask you, give me the inspiration behind this song. You know, there's so many holiday songs this time of year. Tell me about Real Holiday Love.
To go back to my childhood when there were only certain songs that were played, and there wasn't anything that, as far as I'm concerned, that reached me as a kid and as an adult. And when Larita sung the song to me, I listened to what she was saying, and I felt the warmth of where she was coming from, and I had to put it into notes, and that's how I was able to produce that.
Fantastic. And so we have a link to the song on YouTube right now on our website, actionnews5.com. I'll leave it up to you guys. Anything else you'd like to say with regards to the new song, your life out in LA, your Memphis roots? Anything else you guys, either one, would like to say before we let you go?
We'd like to thank all of our family and friends, as I've said before, but here's what's most important. When you see and hear independent artists, please support them in any way that we can. When we could name Wendy Moten, that's our girl. You know, Carlton Lee, that's our person. But independent artists, every play counts, every download, every word of mouth counts. We appreciate your encouragement. We just could not do it without you. Our goal is to reach 500,000 plays on YouTube by the holidays. And the song is for everyone, all cultures, all nationalities. Even if Christmas per se is not what you celebrate, it's the season of remembering love. And what we say in our song is that keep the faith that better days are ahead.
Willie, did you want to add anything before we let you go?
No, she said it all. And happy holidays.
Birthday. Happy birthday, Willie. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Willie Daniels. We appreciate you. And Larita, Shelby, I appreciate you as well. And happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you both. Congratulations on your success out in California. And thanks so much for coming on the Digital Desk. We appreciate it.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Happy holidays.
Amanda Hansen back here in the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Have you started your holiday shopping yet? I know I'm starting to check a few things off my list. But one thing you got to keep in mind, counterfeit goods, they seem to be a problem all year long, but crooks are especially busy during the holiday season. So how can you be sure that the items that you're buying are genuine and not fake? So joining us here to talk more about it, share some valuable information, is Tom Quadman, Executive Vice President with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Tom, good morning.
Good morning, Amanda. Thanks for having me on.
We're glad to have you on because this is such an important topic, and everybody, I think, has probably experienced this sort of problem. I guess, for starters, how big is the problem when it comes to the sale of counterfeit goods?
You know, it's an enormous problem, right? If you can make something, you can fake it. And if you take a look at it, I mean, you find counterfeits in toys and electronics and in medicines. I mean, even during COVID, you know, we found that there was counterfeit toilet paper, which sort of sounds funny until you have to call the plumber. But they're unsafe and they're dangerous, right? You can have exploding batteries, you can have high lead content in toys that children are playing with. And it also costs the global economy $500 billion a year. And those costs are passed on to consumers and taxpayers.
So what are businesses and law enforcement doing to be able to fight this from happening?
Yeah, so businesses and law enforcement have actually partnered up to fight the criminals. So the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and the Customs and Border Protection Agency and the IPR Center have joined together in a historic agreement where the business community is sharing actionable intelligence with those agencies and with law enforcement that they can then act on. So as an example, about 10 days ago, there was $1 billion bust of counterfeit goods in New York City. So it's actually beginning to produce results.
And what about those of us at home, those consumers? How can they make sure that they're protecting themselves from buying these fake goods? I feel like, you know, a lot of people are doing that online shopping these days. I know I am one of those people. I do a lot of my shopping online, and I always get worried. I mean, how do you protect yourself? Any advice or tips or things to look out for?
Yeah, so about last week, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, in conjunction with Customs and Border Protection, we released our Shop Smart tips for the holiday season. So if you go to our website, uschamber.com/shopsmart, you're going to find those tips there. But let me give you a couple. One is, if something is too good to be true, it is. So really pay attention to that. But more importantly, really check out what you're buying. If you see that the packaging doesn't look right, or if there are misspellings on the packaging, that's a red flag that there's a problem. So there's some very, very simple steps that consumers can take to protect themselves.
I know one thing that I came across, it was on Facebook, and I think it maybe was one of those sponsored ads, and it was advertising Stanley Cups for $5, like it was a special deal that they were doing. But when I went to the website, I realized there was nothing, no other products. It was just this one product that they were advertising for $5, which for me was a red flag. But I'm sure there's people that do fall victim to those things. What are some things that maybe people do? You know, I saw that. What can people report those? Where should they report those fake products when they do come across them?
Yeah, and Amanda, that's actually a very good red flag that you sort of mentioned there. But look, there are three things that consumers can do if unfortunately they sort of fall into that trap. One, contact your local police department. Police departments are very active in fighting against this. Number two, go onto the website for the IPR Center. That's iprcenter.gov, and you can file a complaint that they will actually act on. Number three, contact the business, right? So, you know, Amanda, you were just mentioning online platforms, right? As an example, Amazon has actually created a counterfeit crimes unit that blocks 99% of fraudulent listings. So it's helpful not only to correct the problem that the consumer has, but if you can contact, let's say, as an example, Amazon in that instance, it also allows them to maybe even prevent counterfeit goods from even getting to the marketplace.
Some good advice there for sure. Where could people go to learn more information? I know you mentioned that one website. Can you share that again?
Yeah, sure. It's uschamber.com/shopsmart, and you'll get those tips that'll keep you safe this holiday season.
All right. Well, Tom Quadman, Executive Vice President of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. That great information, very helpful to our viewers. Thank you so much for taking time to join us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk.
Thank you, Amanda, and have a happy holiday.
Good morning, everyone. Andrew Douglas here in the Action News 5 Digital Desk. This is a live picture from our Midtown High Five camera. It looks gorgeous outside. Right now it is 30 degrees though, so it is very, very cold. But look at that shot from our High Five camera looking at downtown Memphis. Beautiful on a Tuesday. Welcome to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Andrew Douglas. Thank you for being here. Let's talk now about the forecast with our meteorologist, Patrick Ellis, joining us now. And Patrick, you called this a few days ago. This is the coldest temperature that we've seen so far this season, right?
Well, not in the city. It's in the outlying areas, most definitely. But in the
Gotcha.
city, we're looking at the number right now, 29 degrees, 29 officially at the airport. So we've dipped down into the 20s as expected, but we've got some spots even in Shelby County that have dipped down into the lower middle 20s. So, you know, inside that 240-40 loop, you get a little bit of that urban heat island effect and keeps the temperatures buoyed a little bit. But outside the 240 loop, man, I'll tell you what, it has dropped down precipitously, and we'll take a look at some of those numbers here in just a second. High pressure in control of the weather pattern right now. Of course, that high pressure cell is actually what's helping to keep the skies clear and the winds calm, and that's what's allowed for the temperatures to come plummeting down. There's that high five camera from Midtown. You're looking down Union, back over towards downtown, the medical district, Central Gardens off on the left-hand side, and of course, you got temperatures that are starting off in the teens this morning. Goodness gracious. 19 in Covington and Brownsville, Oakland and Bolivar, 18 right now, as well as Holly Springs, 19 in Corinth. We're 21 Cortland and Oxford this morning. The thriving metropolis of Marks, Mississippi at 23 degrees. Helena, West Helena at 27, 25 in Tunica, 23 as you're starting off in Marion. Good morning to our friends in Crittenden County. So again, starting off 20s this morning, on our way towards the upper 40s, low 50s. I think we may eke out 50 if we keep the sunshine long enough here today amid a very light east to southeast breeze, and that's going to help to import the milder air that will take us into the middle and latter portion of this week. But a cold start, needless to say, across the area. 40s to near 50 this afternoon. We'll start to see a few high wispy clouds beginning to build into the skies, and then they thicken up as we head through the overnight period into the beginning of your Wednesday. Starting off with the clouds in place, that will keep our temperatures buoyed during the overnight period. 30s to start off early tomorrow morning, on our way towards the middle and upper 50s by the afternoon hours. I think we'll actually see a couple of breaks in the clouds for Wednesday night into Thursday. I think we'll see some sun peaks here and there as we head through the next few days. Again, upper 50s near 60 heading into your Thursday. And here we go into Friday, very early Friday morning at least. Rain to the west of us, and some of that rain will spill in our direction. Not the whole kit and caboodle, but at least some opportunities for showers coming into the fold as we head towards your Thursday night into your Friday. But locally and regionally and nationally, the weather pretty quiet for us the next couple of days, including for Thursday. If you've got travel plans, which the FAA is thinking that Thursday's probably going to be one of the peak travel days across the nation with the highest number of flights since Thanksgiving, probably not looking half bad. Of course, we'll probably deal with the clouds here on Thursday, back and forth between that and sunshine, a high near 60, 67 New Orleans. You've got rain that will likely be impacting the southern plains all the way through Texas. So soggy travels if you're traveling on I-40 heading out towards the west through Oklahoma, maybe taking I-30 down towards Dallas and Fort Worth. Waco, Texas is 66, 76 down at Laredo, Texas, and valley fog banks across the Intermountain West, and new system coming on board during the week, and that will actually be our Christmas system that will be coming on the West Coast. 59 degrees are high in Los Angeles on Thursday, 76 in Phoenix, Arizona. Sun and clouds down across the Florida Peninsula and the coastal empire, the low country, and across the East Coast. Even colder, though, and brisk across the New England states, 25 degrees up in Burlington, Vermont. Soggy sleigh ride for Santa on the way for the weekend. Of course, that is your first alert. Of course, getting out of this chill, got to move on to the next thing, right? Giving you that first alert to a soggy weekend across the region with periods of rain that may not rain constantly, but there will be rain and a few thunderstorms. No severe weather, but obviously with the rain, travel impacts will likely be in play, and mild temperatures, so not a white Christmas, at least here locally. You go out west, you might be running into some snowflakes flying across the Intermountain West, the Front Range, and back over into western Kansas and Nebraska. But for us, it's just going to be rain shower activity, and maybe, again, a few rumbles of thunder as an area of low pressure makes its way off towards the east. Now, that's going to keep our temperatures pretty mild, likely have temperatures in the lower 60s for highs for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And eventually a cold front comes sweeping through the area. It's going to take its sweet time to move through the area. That will eventually clear us out, but it's probably going to take until like the middle and latter portion of next week before we finally get another system to kind of sweep on through here and kind of clear us out. So once we get into the clouds the next couple of days, we don't break back out of them for a while. So 48 today. Enjoy the sunshine while we have it. We'll still see some peaks of sun Wednesday, Thursday. Highs creeping up an additional 10 degrees between today and tomorrow. Near 60 by Thursday. We'll stay in the upper 50s and low 60s Friday, Saturday, and then lower 60s through the weekend. Of course, adding in those opportunities for showers, maybe a few rumbles of thunder on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Like I said, a soggy way to get into Christmas, but at least it's not single-digit temperatures, no ice, no snow. If you remember last year, not only did we have to deal with the frigid cold temperatures where we got down to as low as 1 degree here in Memphis, then on the back end of Christmas, we had that icy situation unfold too. So, you know, you kind of had to deal with a couple of different things during the Christmas season last year. Thankfully, not the case this year. It's just the rain showers, and of course, we can get through that with no problems, I feel like.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And winter is coming, as they say, Thursday, right? And it's going to be pretty mild.
Yeah, when you think about it, again, the average high right now is like 53 degrees. 60 on Thursday is our high. And then we've got 50s for lows by the time we head towards the weekend. So definitely a big change up for us. So if you're a fan of winter feels, enjoy today, because after that, we're not seeing anything wintry feeling until probably the middle or latter portion of next week.
Perfect. All right, Patrick Ellis joining us now to help us make sense of what the next 7 days are going to be. We appreciate it, Patrick. Thank you. You know, when it comes to shopping online, it is ripe for scammers. It's certainly ripe for identity theft, that sort of thing. Well, let's talk about ways you can avoid becoming a victim this holiday season. And I'm joined right now by someone who knows a lot about this. This is Luke Sechrist. He is joining us to talk more about avoiding becoming a victim. And Luke, first off, tell us how the best ways to really control our digital footprint out there when we are shopping for the holidays. Good morning.
Yes, hi. Good morning, Andrew. Thanks for having me. Absolutely. Controlling your digital footprint, there's 3 key steps that can be taken to help avoid and reduce the amount of footprint that you have on the web, which is extremely important. And it's also safe to assume, and changing the mindset of understanding what we do put online can and likely will at some point be stolen.
So tell me, I know that you're the CEO of ButtoBot, and can you tell us what that is and what you
Sure.
guys do to protect people's digital shopping?
Sure. So we're a team of professional hackers that are brought on by different organizations to do what we call adversary emulation. Essentially, what that means is we attack like a hacker would attack, and we try to steal our customers' data, take down systems, or socially engineer key stakeholders.
So tell us how the process works. I mean, you don't have to get into super detail, but how successful are you guys? I mean, this team of hackers trying to get someone's identity,
Sure.
I guess.
Yeah, it's a great question. So success is measured in many different ways, but many organizations are highly susceptible to breach, even with millions of dollars spent towards defense. That's why our team is very valuable, so that we can essentially be the good bad guys and find those gaps and weaknesses before the actual bad guys do. So you have time to fix it.
So, all right, if we were to do kind of some bullet points for people when they're shopping online this holiday season to protect themselves and their identity, if you had to name maybe 3 of them, what would you, how would you name it?
Sure. So starts with email. Very simple, quick and easy task to do. You want to kind of create your shopper identity that's separate from your own. So create a new email that has nothing that identifies you. And you use that for all of your online shopping, and it also helps with organizing all that spam and the marketing ads and all the different emails that you're going to be flooded with during the shopping season and after.
I love that. I love
And then,
that. Go ahead. Keep.
Sure. So the next thing is, obviously everybody knows by now, creating strong passwords is a definite, very important, not reusing passwords. But one area that is often overlooked is password recovery. So, some folks use different email password-based recovery, but questionnaires are still out there. And by questionnaires, I mean, the 3 to 5 questions. What is your mother's maiden name, spouse's maiden name, your eldest niece or nephew, your favorite movie, things like that. You want to create false information under your shopper identity. Don't use factual information, as it could be stolen and eventually used against you.
Okay, and so I see that you have one here, Luke, that that a lot of people would have some questions about. In one of those recommendations is don't save that credit card information online. Tell me why.
Sure. So, and nowadays with Express Checkout, PayPal, Google Pay, Apple Pay, things of that nature that allow you to sort of bypass storing your credit card information, I recommend using that when and if possible. And it's solely for the purpose of when you put your credit card information on a vendor's website, that's stored in a database. And you don't know exactly how secure that database is. You've provided and given that information out. And again, under the whole idea of controlling or reducing your digital footprint, your payment method is huge, right? Because even if they're not looking to steal your identity, if they capture your credit card or banking information, that's obviously something we don't want to have happen.
No question about it. So, any final thoughts? We have thousands of people who join us on the digital desk each and every morning, Luke. Anything else that you'd like to give in terms of tips for those shopping this holiday season?
Sure, especially for seasons like the Cyber Monday, Black Friday, where there's an influx of the amount of spending that people are doing. A big one is after you've done your shopping and throughout the rest of this month, check your transaction history. Take the time to log in to your credit card profiles and look at that transaction history. And if something pops up or something's there that you don't recognize, make the phone call.
Great advice there, and we really appreciate any kind of advice and great ways and tips, and certainly we appreciate your staff of hackers there trying to make everything at least more secure for all of us that are shopping this holiday season. Luke Sechrist, CEO of ButtaBot, we appreciate your time. Thanks very much.
Amanda Hansen here in the Action News 5 digital desk. As the healthcare landscape deals with physician burnout, there exists this unprocessed trauma and grief that physicians carry from caring for their patients and dealing with that. This burden often can be lurking underneath the surface, and it can be intensified during the holiday season. So we want to talk about ways that people can cope with this type of thing. And joining us here on the Action News 5 digital desk is Dr. Gail Gazelle. She is a distinguished physician coach and assistant professor at Harvard Medical School. Dr. Gazelle, good morning.
Good morning. Pleasure to talk with you.
Glad to have you on here, back here on the digital desk. It's been a minute, but I always enjoy our conversations and the knowledge that you bring. I want to dive into this, though, because I feel like during the holiday season, it can be a difficult time for a lot of people when it comes to dealing with grief and trauma. And I know we've talked in the past about mindfulness, but how can that really be a tool that people can utilize right now?
Well, let's start by acknowledging that this is a complicated time of year. It can be a very joyful time of year, and yet it can be a time of sadness, of grief, of recognizing losses that we've had, and perhaps people who are not with us this holiday season when they were for so many years. So it's a tough time for many people. It's a time of financial stress as well. And so what's really important is to allow yourself to feel those feelings. You brought up mindfulness, Amanda, and it's so important to have that awareness of what's going on within us and allowing ourselves to experience things like sadness, grief, and loss. What I see often is when we don't give ourselves that space, it kind of is lurking in the background, right? It can kind of creep up on us. We're having a conversation with somebody, and all of a sudden we feel that tremendous sadness and grief, and it wells up. So what's really important is to give ourselves space, to be mindfully aware of the emotions that are going on within us, perhaps to journal a little bit about them, to spend a few minutes crying. It can feel sometimes like those emotions are going to overwhelm us and topple us. But really, the truth is that if we give them even a few seconds, if not minutes of our attention, they actually pass on their own.
And I think that's something a lot of people struggle with, is acknowledging the grief, because sometimes they just want to bury it, they want to move on, they want to, act like everything is fine. So just being able to acknowledge that grief is really a good first step in trying to kind of move past that and to be able to cope. And I feel like, a lot of times people have so much compassion for everyone else. I know we talked about physicians and the burnout and how they deal with this sort of thing. They have so much empathy and compassion for their patients, but sometimes it's hard to maybe turn that around when you're considering yourself. Do you find that?
So true. I think particularly during the holidays, we can all look around and think everybody else is doing so well. They seem so happy. They have wonderful families, wonderful jobs. We see them on social media and we only see their best. The reality is that we all struggle, and particularly during the holidays, and particularly for those of us who are caregivers, either professionally and or personally, it's a really tough time of year. So what's deeply important is to be kind to ourselves as we go through our difficulties. Many of us in healthcare and otherwise are caretakers of other people. We're used to being kind and compassionate to others, but we can be so incredibly critical of ourselves. We can say things to ourselves that we would never say to anybody else, let alone somebody we actually cared about. So that is really an important tip, to take a moment to be kind to yourself, perhaps to put your hand over the area of your heart and remind yourself, wow, I'm working really hard. I deserve some kindness and compassion, just as others deserve that. What I see is that this is really a powerful medicine. It's a powerful medicine to decrease stress, to decrease all of those inner judgments we can have, and to decrease kind of the ill ease that we can have, particularly in times like holidays.
Well, and I know you were mentioning social media. I feel like that's just a whole nother layer in this day and age when it comes to people struggling with this sort of thing, right?
It definitely is. We go on social media and what do we see? We see people, celebrating all of their wins, their wonderful family, their wonderful birthdays, their fantastic job promotions. And we don't hear about what's really going on for people, the way that they're struggling, the ways that their very relationships that look so wonderful in those beautiful pictures on Facebook or Instagram, that we don't see actually the reality of their lives. So it's really kind of a problem with social media. We have to continually, mindfully, really be aware that that's an issue with social media and remind ourselves that it's not always the way that it looks. In fact, it's typically not the way that it looks.
So what other tips would you have for people that are maybe struggling right now and dealing with maybe that buried trauma and grief?
Well, one in particular is reminding yourself that you don't have to do things perfectly. I think that really comes up for us in the holidays. We have to do our grief perfectly. We have to get the perfect presents for our loved ones. We have to have the perfect table, the perfect tree, the perfect, menorah, whatever it is. And that just adds so much weight and stress to an already challenging, busy time. So I want to encourage all of your viewers and listeners to just be, again, kind to themselves and remind themselves that they don't have to do any of this perfectly. All they have to do is show up, be themselves, and really recognize that they are doing their best.
It's interesting you bring up that point, because just yesterday I was having a conversation with my mother, and she was saying, I'm stressed out about money and I want to be able to get gifts for everyone. And, this Bible study, they want to do a gift exchange, and this one. And she's like, it sometimes makes the whole holiday stressful, where you don't even get a chance to really be present and enjoy it.
At the end of the day, I think what we all want is quality time with our loved ones, to feel that sense of family and belonging and goodness. And we have to peel away some of these expectations that come from external sources, but also come internally, that somehow we have to do it all just right. So I hope that people watching this can just remind themselves, I'm good enough. I'm doing a good enough job. And really what I want is to be present and loving with those around me. I think it can really decrease the stress that can abound this time of year.
I've had friends in the past, when they've gone through difficult times or, their struggles, that they will write in a journal and kind of put it on paper. And for them, that's a release. Is that something you find that can also be beneficial?
I think that's a powerful strategy that we can use, particularly around grief. So many times, we've lost a loved one and we never had a chance to say goodbye. We never had a chance to thank them for all that they brought to our lives, all the ways that they helped us grow and develop. So sitting and journaling or writing a letter to a person that will never get sent is a fantastic way to just allow some space, again, some space for all the feelings around that if we don't give them space, they can just come out sideways. So I think journaling is a fantastic way to help us in these times of difficulty.
Well, Dr. Gesell, this has been very informative and helpful. Is there any other last comments or advice that you want to give to people that are watching?
Well, what I want to come back to is being kind to oneself, to remind yourself that you're doing as well as you can, to speak back to that inner critic that accuses you of not doing things well or good enough. I think that and some of the other tips that we've covered can really be powerful elixirs to help people enjoy this important time.
Well, Dr. Gesell, we appreciate you joining us back here on the Digital Desk. You're welcome back anytime. I always love the interviews that we do with you, and you have a great holiday, all right?
You too. Thanks so much.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 First Alert Digital Desk here. And of course, we're talking about a very cold start to your day across the Mid-South. At least, though, sunshine wins out and temperatures warm up into the 40s, close to 50 degrees this afternoon. But one thing to note is that we'll start to see a few clouds sneaking back into the skies as well. And those clouds thicken up as we roll through the next 24 hours. And that will be part of the story for the better part of probably the next 7 to 10 days, honestly. More clouds in the skies across the area amid milder temperatures. Cold start on our way towards the 40s this afternoon. Again, maybe eking out 50 if you can stand enough sunshine, but we'll see a few high-level clouds start to streak across the skies as we head towards the late afternoon, early evening hours. Those clouds will start to thicken up as we get through the overnight period into the start of your Wednesday. Morning start in the 30s. We'll work our way back towards the 50s by the afternoon hours. See the clouds breaking a little bit overnight Wednesday into early Thursday. Again, starting off in the 30s, and then you notice here come the clouds rolling back in here. So we'll go with a variably cloudy look as we head towards your Thursday. Rain holding off, but it's on its way and will be making its presence known as we head towards the upcoming weekend. Notice those rain opportunities. I think on Friday we'll have a 20% chance for a shower. Probably the best chances in eastern Arkansas, to be honest. Then opportunities for rain start to sneak up a little bit. 30 to 40% opportunities going into your Saturday. All amid temperatures in the upper 50s to near 60 degrees. But a first alert to a soggy sleigh ride for Santa's arrival here in the Mid-South. And that's going to bring us waves of rain, a few storms through the weekend. And of course, if you've got travel plans, could be impactful from the standpoint of dealing with the rain showers, some gusty breezes from time to time, and mild temperatures will keep us away from having a white Christmas. Here's a look at that storm system. And really, it's two different storm systems. One that it will be exiting on Friday into Saturday. Another one will be reloading back out to the west. This one's the one that's going to be coming onshore on the west coast Thursday, leading into Friday, into Saturday, coming out of the desert southwest, coming in our direction, bringing us waves of scattered showers, maybe a few rumbles of thunder by the time we head towards your Sunday into Monday. Of course, it could be the reds and greens on the radar, along with the reds and greens of your Christmas tree lights. As we go through that time frame, of course, it will be a wet go of things for Christmas Day. And then eventually a frontal boundary will make some progress through the area that will eventually usher in some cooler air. But I don't think we're talking about that happening until probably the middle portion of next week. In the meantime, 48, lots of sunshine. Enjoy it while we have it today. Winds turning more southerly. That's going to help to import the clouds, import the moisture that will bring us in more clouds for Wednesday and Thursday. We'll call it variably cloudy to mostly cloudy these days as temperatures warm up middle and upper 50s tomorrow. Closer to 60 come Thursday, and then eventually a couple of shower chances Friday, Saturday, more so Christmas Eve and into Christmas Day, and probably lingering into the day after Christmas before beginning to slowly but surely trend drier by the back end of next week.
Okay, welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. 8 o'clock, 29 degrees. You're taking a live look from our High Five camera in Midtown Memphis. We'll be talking more about the forecast coming up in just a little bit. Now, let's talk about narrowing down the choices today at Memphis Shelby County Schools. Board members have some choices to make. They're mulling over who is going to become the next superintendent. Friday, board members interviewed 5 candidates from various areas, one as far away from as Detroit. Now they're narrowing it down to 3 with the hopes of having someone new in the next few months. The search is ramping up following complaints about transparency and qualifications. Close to 9 million student loan borrowers have missed their payments. Have you heard about this? This is borrowers that have missed their first payment after the pandemic-related pause ended this fall. That's according to the Department of Education. Borrowers who miss payments anytime through September of next year won't be reported to the 3 national credit bureaus, but interest will continue to accrue. Millions of borrowers have a different student loan servicer than they did before the pandemic. We've all seen them while shopping around for holiday gifts. Dozens of gift cards lined up on the rack ready for the taking. Scammers are using them to steal your money and your holiday spirit, but researchers say it's become a huge problem. You're often out of luck because the merchant can't tell you if you drained it or if somebody else did. It is something that retail providers are trying to figure out a solution to. Got some new details into a shooting that sent a Memphis mother to the hospital. Take a look. Suspect's vehicle appears to be a red 4x4 Toyota Tacoma. According to a Memphis police report, victim was sitting in her car outside of her mom's home, Cable Avenue in Orange Mound. Someone began firing shots. We spoke with a community leader in Orange Mound who's also related to the victim. He says the victim's mother worked with city leaders to get a SkyCop camera put on the street in hopes of deterring crime. Another hot topic we're watching is another effort to get a Memphis neighborhood gated. We're talking about Chickasaw Gardens. Neighbors say they want an entry gate in hopes of deterring crime there. The plan was denied by the city's Land Use Control Board last month. They're hoping to bring it back before Memphis City Council's attention today during their meeting later this afternoon. And later today, we're expecting to learn more about another crime initiative coming from the Shelby County DA's office. According to Steve Mulroy, this plan will kick off later and consider priority violent offenses like felons with guns and smash and grabs, that sort of thing. In a statement, DA Mulroy says we wanted to make it clear to those who violate the law that they will be prosecuted, including those who engage in violence or repeat nonviolence offenses, and will face the consequences, including incarceration. It's certainly something that we're watching here on the Action News 5 digital desk. Please. Yes, I was. Okay, back here in the Action News 5 digital desk, I want to talk a little bit about a report that came out just a few days ago. This is about how few trials and many dismissals at 201 Poplar are happening. So we're talking about various reports focused on this revolving door that we hear about so often at 201 Poplar, the Shelby County Jail, and what is happening and why there are fewer trials and many dismissals. It is an interesting topic and certainly ripe for a journalist to do. In fact, there is a journalist with the Daily Memphian who put together his report just a few days ago to talk about some of the reasons behind these trials and these dismissals at 201 Poplar. And I'm joined now by that journalist with the Daily Memphian, Aaron Fleming, joining us on the digital desk to talk more about this report that you put out a few days ago. Aaron, good morning to you. I appreciate you joining us on the digital desk. So give me first a little bit of a backstory. Why did you do this report in the first place?
Yeah, so I appreciate you having this morning, and kind of the idea with the report is you've got Bobby Carter's report that came out earlier this month. So Bobby Carter was contracted by, outgoing Mayor Strickland back in July to do this kind of court watch report and kind of figure out what was going on there. And then Just City, the local nonprofit, also did a report back in October. And this is a program, their court watch program, they have done for a couple of years now. And they've released, I think this was their third report. And so kind of the idea with the stories that I did was to kind of combine those reports. And kind of look at we've got these two groups essentially that are sitting in and observing the court system and kind of look at, okay, what did they both find? Were they finding similar things, and just essentially kind of outlining their findings. So.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, Aaron. I love, good old fashioned journalism and looking through records and trying to come up with why things are happening the way they are. Certainly, efficiencies have not been something new at 201 Poplar. There's a lot of people that have complained about this revolving door. So tell me what your report found specifically.
So I think with Carter's report, it focused a lot on the trials for sure. It was largely narrative compared to Just Cities, which had a lot of data, but it definitely focused a lot on the lack of trials that are being held. His big claim was that there are, so his report looks at September 1st of last year to kind of the end of November. And he says that, less than 40 trials were held compared to 200 during his tenure. That was 200 a year. And he was on the bench from 2010 all the way up until this last election where, he decides not to run for re-election. He was replaced by Judge James Jones. And so that was kind of the biggest bulk of that. And then he, kind of provided some solutions as to how we could kind of increase the number of trials that we're doing. Just City looked at more, a lot of different things. They looked at how long it's taking cases to get resolved, how many, charges we're dismissing. They also include in the report, they use volunteer court watchers with their program. And so they have them sit in and kind of judge observe the demeanor of judges and how they talk with defendants and things like that, and kind of rate them based on those things. And that's all also included in the report. So
I gotcha. And, I had a chance to talk with Just City, and, this whole issue of 201 Poplar, the revolving door, the increase in crime that we are seeing in Memphis over the last 12 months or longer, it's become very political. I'm sure you're well aware of that, seeing the landscape, the political landscape. It is something that is fodder for, red meat, I guess you could say, for a lot of people. For example, Steve Mulroy, the Shelby County District Attorney, has got a lot of blame on this issue of revolving door. Down at 201 Poplar, very low bail, if any bail at all. In fact, Shelby County State Senator Brent Taylor, who represents parts of Memphis and Eastern Shelby County, has mentioned on more than one occasion how Steve Mulroy has aligned themselves with left-leaning groups like Just City who believe in no bail, no money bail at all. And so he's asked state leaders and others to try and help this crime issue. And one of the issues that Brent Taylor brings up is how people at 201 Poplar, they go in and then they come back out. I know that your report focused on essentially the numbers for the most part. Do you see perhaps a follow-up on how some of these solutions can be resolved so that we can have some accountability at 201 Poplar?
Yeah, I think it's definitely something to look at as far as, do these things get implemented? And I talked with Carter about that a little bit, as far as like how soon or how reasonable, are these things to actually get implemented. And I think he mentioned that, these things could be implemented immediately, but these also, especially with some of the things that we're seeing now with the trial backlogs and things like that, like I know we're past the pandemic, but when you ask people about, why do we not hold trials and things, that's what's pointed to a lot is the backlog of the pandemic, because jury trials weren't held then. And that's still something that we're coming off of. And so I think, there's a lot of factors at play, and I think it's an issue that's built up over a number of years. And so I think solutions that are put in place, maybe they could be immediate, or in the near future, but I think also maybe the results wouldn't be immediate either, right? It would take time to see them have an effect. It wouldn't be an overnight thing necessarily, right?
No, I appreciate it, Aaron. Is there anything else you wanted to mention? I know, I believe his name is Bill Anderson, a judicial commissioner who was in the news recently with regards to a first-degree murder suspect being released on his own recognizance, and that got a lot of news play across the Memphis landscape. And so a lot of people questioning him. What's he doing? Why would he do that? Where is this going to be resolved? Are we going to fix it? Is DA Mulroy gonna help this? Are we going to see more of this? Where do you see other reports that you're focused on with regards to this topic in the future?
I think all I'll say on that is just that, Bill Anderson has mentioned before, and he made these comments in regards to when the recent bail data and the data on the bail reform was presented to the Shelby County Commission and kind of the results of that. That he and these were comments that were highlighted by Brent Taylor in a recent letter that he made. That essentially Anderson loves ROR or and he's given reasons for that, and I think what he's mentioned is just the conditions that you can place on it versus if somebody makes bond, and because the bond company won't place conditions on them as far as having to check in or go through different screenings or things like that while they're out on bond. The bond company just what Anderson has mentioned is that they'll take their payment, but they're not checking in with the person in between then. So I think that's the argument that he's made as far as why he RORs people, but obviously that's still a concern for people when you see people with these kind of high level violent charges that are released on their own recognizance. Obviously that's a concern for a lot of people, and so I guess that's really all I'll say on that. I think it's definitely something to follow up on, but as far as what Anderson said, I think that's just where his mindset is on that, that's I'm not a judge, I'm not a lawyer, and so I think it's just one of those things that we have to keep looking at. But I think people are concerned, and so.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, Aaron Fleming, Daily Memphian reporter. I would recommend our thousands of viewers who watch us each and every morning on the digital desk to check out his article, Few Trials, Many Dismissals at 201 Poplar. He wrote it a few days ago. Again, dailymemphian.com. Check it out. Keep that old school reporting going, Aaron, and we'd love to check back in with you to hear what else you have cooking on the pages of Daily Memphian. Thanks very much. Happy holidays.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Appreciate camera. Another live look from our High Five camera there in Midtown Memphis. 29 degrees, 814. Back after this. All right, back here in the Action News 5 digital desk, 815, 29 degrees. We are looking at a nicer day today. I definitely want to get back into our forecast coming up in just a little bit. But right now, I want to talk a little bit about juvenile court because there is more funding coming to juvenile court, an extra $2 million. The funding was approved by the Shelby County Commission. It'll go towards services for at-risk children, helping with hiring. Commissioners told Judge Sugarman they want quarterly updates with real-time data to show them how his plan is working and how those millions of dollars in tax money is being spent. The judge said additional funding will make salaries more competitive. The most recent annual report in 2021 said Shelby County Juvenile Court handles about 30,000 cases each year. Federal government trying to make it tougher for officers found guilty of misconduct to get hired at other police departments. DOJ launched a database that'll flag them during the hiring process for law enforcement positions. As of now, the database only applies to federal officers. But it is working on allowing state, local, and other agencies to participate as well. We are in the holiday spirit, certainly. I mean, heck, we got 19 days until Christmas, and I'm wearing my candy cane tie because we're talking to Jennifer Chandler, who's going to be talking about all kinds of festive, fun things we can do to really get in the holiday spirit, or at least get our taste buds in the holiday spirit. Right, Jennifer? Good morning.
I am, and I wore my red shirt for the same reason, to be in the holiday spirit. I just couldn't find my Santa Claus earrings this morning. Next time. So we're going to talk about holiday things going on around town, and there's so many things happening at Memphis area restaurants to put you in the festive mode. So the first one we're going to talk about is the Nutcracker Ballet. So we all know that this is the ballet, and it's such a wonderful Memphis tradition. But Dinstall's Candy has a special promotion, and they've gotten behind the new, the Dinstall's this year. They have this new Nutcracker candy bar that they're selling, and it has a golden ticket in it. And if you win the golden ticket, you happen to get 2 tickets to go see the Nutcracker, which should be really cool this year because they redid the set, and I have not seen it yet, but from what I understand, there's so much more to have to do with like the sugar plum fairies and all the candy that's related to this event. And if you purchase one of these candy bars, 20% of the sales price will be donated back to Ballet Memphis, which is kind of a really, really cool thing. So it adds a little fun chocolate sweet twist to going to see the Nutcracker this year. Speaking of candy, next on my list is the gingerbread house, that display that they do every year at the Peabody Hotel. This has been a tradition for years now, and it is such a wonderful thing, and this is free for the family. It'll be up until after Christmas Day, and anyone can go, and I have a list here, and I have to look to make sure I get the numbers right. I have all the stats in my story now about the commercial appeal, but 200 pounds of powdered sugar, 100 pounds of flour, 20 pounds of candy. That's some of all of the craziness that went into building this. And this is an interesting story about this tradition. So actually, probably as soon as it comes down at the beginning of the year, Conrad Spitzhart, who is the executive pastry chef at the Peabody Hotel, and his staff will start brainstorming about what they will be doing the following year for Christmas, or that coming year for Christmas. And they actually start putting this together in the summertime. They start making the gingerbread and baking it off, and start making some of the decorations that can hold, because they do this all kind of as on their spare time in between when they're cooking for the restaurants and special events, is when all of this magic happens. So it takes a long time. And if you ever happen to be in the Peabody the week of Thanksgiving, like that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you can catch them in action building this, because it is built and ready to go on that Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and ready to go by Thanksgiving and when they have their tree lighting. And one of the things that I like to do is I like to take the family, I like to time it around one of the duck marches, and so that we can see that and have the true Memphis experience. And then maybe for the kids, we get some of their hot chocolate, and for the adults, get a cocktail and sit in the that gorgeous lobby. There's a reason it's called the South Grandis Hotel, and enjoy all the decorations. So that's a fun activity you can do for free that's family friendly. Next on my list is one that is for those 21 and up. The Miracle Pop-Up Bar is happening at the liquor store. And this is something they've been doing for a number of years. I wish should have looked up the number of years they've actually done it. I think it's maybe like 4, could be 5. And so Miracle is a pop-up bar concept that happens around the country. They provide basically this really cool and kitschy drinkware and some recipes, and just kind of put a restaurant into a festive spirit. But part of the deal is, if you're part of this, the restaurant has to go over the top with decorations. And you can see in this photo this great picture of how beautiful the bar looked last year at the liquor store. The decorations are up now. I don't have a current picture of what they did this year, but again, over the top. They just are doing it at their Broad Avenue location. And some of the drinks are like, they have fun names. It's like Elfin' Around is one, and Christmas Cricket. There was one last year, I think, called Santa Got Run Over by a Reindeer, or Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer. I don't know which one, but it's always just so much fun to do, and to go meet some friends for cocktails and drink and feel very, very festive. And I will also point out that Magnolia in May is doing something similar this year that is, but it's their own original Christmas themed month. They have decorated their restaurant. They also have some fun Christmas related bar drinks and some menu items as well. So those are 2 opportunities to go have some fun with your adult friends and enjoy a fun holiday inspired cocktail. Next on my list, the Majestic Grill. I dare to say, I don't know if there is a restaurant in Memphis that embraces the holidays more than the Majestic Grill does that restaurant downtown. I mean, Denny and Patrick Riley, who are the owners, go over the top with several events. They've already had some this past weekend, but coming up on December 12th is Clark's annual Christmas party. And this is so much fun. I mean, it's the Griswolds in full action. And they actually play, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation on the movie screen. So you go and they have a couple of seatings and you sit down and while you're enjoying your meal, you get to watch the movie. There is ugly sweater contest. There's a special Griswold menu items. So it is a lot of fun. And actually, speaking about that, movies is all season long. The Majestic Grill will be playing Christmas music and having Christmas movies playing on the big screen. I don't know if many people realize that building that they're in was once a theater. It's a very historic building. And so when they moved in and created their restaurant, they embraced some of that and put a big movie screen in so they could do fun events like this. Also coming at the Majestic Grill is Brunch with Santa on December 16th. That's a family-friendly event, obviously. Denny Riley described it as not a buffet, more like a Disney-type buffet for kids. I mean, not buffet, Disney-type brunch for kids. So what they will do is they will have different characters coming around and visiting your table, as well as Santa and Mrs. Santa and Mrs. Claus as well. And lastly, one other thing they're doing is they have doing a Cameretta Christmas on December 13th, which is an opera group here in Memphis, and they will be singing Christmas carols from the balcony while you're dining on December 13th. And then last on my list, Muddy's Bake Shop is doing cooking classes. So on this weekend on December 9th, you can learn how to make their Santa Baby cupcakes, which are my favorite. They're chocolate cupcakes with peppermint icing. That'll be a fun one. They also have a cookie workshop that is kind of a very intensive one. It's many hours. They call it a full day workshop. It's not a full day, but it's a big part of your day. They're doing that twice. This month, they're doing it on December 9th and December 16th. I will say also, if you want to do something for the kids, on December 9th, 17 Berkshire is doing a cookie decorating class, which should be a lot of fun. And this picture, they actually had this past weekend in conjunction with the Nutcracker, they did an event where they had Sugar Plum Fairy cupcakes, and they had this pink peppermint hot chocolate with homemade marshmallows, which is something you can get all the time there. So this picture is from 17 Berkshire and what they did this past weekend. But again, you can head there and go, and I will give them another shout out. Most of their activities are happening at their original location in Overton Square, but they do have a pop-up going on right now in Saddle Creek that you can check out as well. So as you can see from this list, there is really something for everyone in the family. Every activity, kid friendly, adult friendly, free, things you can learn at. There's a lot you can do this month to keep yourself in the festive spirit, thanks to our great Memphis restaurants.
Oh yeah, for sure. And one of the Douglas traditions is always to go to the Peabody, take pictures with the family in front of the tree, check out the gingerbread house, that sort of thing. Jennifer, what about your family? Do you do any fun holiday traditions around town?
So we do. We always try to do something a little bit different. And I will tell you that going to the Peabody is definitely one. I'm the only one of my siblings that lives here in Memphis. And so we always try to do something kind of fun. And I will tell you one thing that we did one year that was just a ton of fun is we went and we were there for the 5 o'clock, the evening duck march, saw that, while we were enjoying that, we'd gotten there early. So we could look at all the decorations, and the kids got hot chocolate and we got cocktails, and then we left there and then we went and had dinner at the Rendezvous. And then we came back, and then we kind of walked around downtown Memphis, like the Peabody, and kind of saw also on Main Street the Christmas tree they have there, so we could see the decorations. And then we left, and because it was a little chilly out, and we went bowling at the Bass Pro Shop. And that was one of the funnest nights that we've had as a family together. So I always try to do something a little bit Memphis-y when my family comes in town, because we all grew up here, but Memphis has changed so much since they lived here, and there's so many cool things to do. So I'm kind of brainstorming right now about what I'm going to be doing when my family comes in town this year, but it might include one of these activities.
I love it. I love it. Jennifer Chandler, peeling back the curtain so we can understand what she does for fun, and it's all about Memphis. Jennifer, thanks so much. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to you and your family.
Happy holidays to you too.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 First Alert Digital Desk here. And of course, we're talking about a very cold start to your day across the Mid-South. At least, though, sunshine wins out and temperatures warm up into the 40s, close to 50 degrees this afternoon. But one thing to note is that we'll start to see a few clouds sneaking back into the skies as well. And those clouds thicken up as we roll through the next 24 hours. And that will be part of the story for the better part of probably the next 7 to 10 days, honestly. More clouds in the skies across the area amid milder temperatures. Cold start on our way towards the 40s this afternoon. Again, maybe eking out 50 if you can stand enough sunshine, but we'll see a few high-level clouds start to streak across the skies as we head towards the late afternoon, early evening hours. Those clouds will start to thicken up as we get through the overnight period into the start of your Wednesday. Morning start in the 30s. We'll work our way back towards the 50s by the afternoon hours. See the clouds breaking a little bit overnight Wednesday into early Thursday. Again, starting off in the 30s, and then you notice here come the clouds rolling back in here. So we'll go with a variably cloudy look as we head towards your Thursday. Rain holding off, but it's on its way and will be making its presence known as we head towards the upcoming weekend. Notice those rain opportunities. I think on Friday we'll have a 20% chance for a shower. Probably the best chances in eastern Arkansas, to be honest. Then opportunities for rain start to sneak up a little bit. 30 to 40% opportunities going into your Saturday. All amid temperatures in the upper 50s to near 60 degrees. But a first alert to a soggy sleigh ride for Santa's arrival here in the Mid-South. And that's going to bring us waves of rain, a few storms through the weekend. And of course, if you've got travel plans, could be impactful from the standpoint of dealing with the rain showers, some gusty breezes from time to time, and mild temperatures will keep us away from having a white Christmas. Here's a look at that storm system. And really, it's two different storm systems. One that it will be exiting on Friday into Saturday. Another one will be reloading back out to the west. This one's the one that's going to be coming onshore on the west coast Thursday, leading into Friday, into Saturday, coming out of the desert southwest, coming in our direction, bringing us waves of scattered showers, maybe a few rumbles of thunder by the time we head towards your Sunday into Monday. Of course, it could be the reds and greens on the radar, along with the reds and greens of your Christmas tree lights. As we go through that time frame, of course, it will be a wet go of things for Christmas Day. And then eventually a frontal boundary will make some progress through the area that will eventually usher in some cooler air. But I don't think we're talking about that happening until probably the middle portion of next week. In the meantime, 48, lots of sunshine. Enjoy it while we have it today. Winds turning more southerly. That's going to help to import the clouds, import the moisture that will bring us in more clouds for Wednesday and Thursday. We'll call it variably cloudy to mostly cloudy these days as temperatures warm up middle and upper 50s. Tomorrow, closer to 60 come Thursday, and then eventually a couple of shower chances Friday, Saturday, more so Christmas Eve and into Christmas Day, and probably lingering into the day after Christmas before beginning to slowly but surely trend drier by the back end of next week.
You know, we hear about all these weight loss drugs, different things we see on social media, or you can hear celebrities talking about it, the discussion about Wegovy, perhaps, or Saxenda. But are these medications, are these drugs really magic for weight loss, and are they safe as well? Let's bring in someone to help us kind of decipher what's good, what's not, and what we should be doing when it comes to weight loss. I'm joined now by a bariatric physician, Dr. Leigh Daigle. She is with Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare. Dr. Daigle, thanks for joining us on the digital desk. So what can you say right off the bat when it comes to these weight loss drugs? I know some people in our newsroom, as a matter of fact, that are on Wegovy. Are these things safe? And what would you say to a prospective patient out there?
So yes, for the most part, they are safe. Just like with any medications, there are potential side effects. And so that needs to be discussed. There are medication interactions that need to be considered. So that needs to be decided on with the patient and their physician, or weight management specialist either. They are safe. They are used in conjunction with healthy eating habits and active lifestyle changes. So alone without diet and exercise, they are not as effective. So I wouldn't say that they're magic, but they are great tools to use in addition to lifestyle changes.
Okay, does that include Ozempic? I mean, I hear that's another one that people like to take.
Yes, so Wegovy is FDA approved for weight management. That's semaglutide. Ozempic is the same drug, but it's approved for diabetes.
I got you. Okay. All right. And so you said, okay, these are okay, but you have to consider, your diet and your lifestyle. Let's talk about that aspect of this equation when it comes to weight loss and doing it in a healthy way. Let's talk about the proper diet for taking those kinds of medication, if in fact someone wants to do that.
So one of the things that those medications do is they do slow transit down through the stomach. So food stays in the stomach longer than it normally would. So smaller meals are better so that you minimize reflux and nausea. Obviously lower calorie diets are going to result in weight loss. Anything that's too extreme is hard to stick to long term, so it may not be the best for weight management. Fruits and vegetables, unprocessed foods, I usually tell people as naturally as you can eat it, the better. You want to do things that are organic when able. Those tend to be a little bit more expensive. And then the recommendation for activity is you want to do a minimum of 150 minutes a week of moderate to strenuous activity. That has different meanings for different people depending on what your activity level is currently when you start. But that's the recommended exercise criteria as far as minutes per week.
Let me ask you this, doctor. What happens if someone, is on Wegovy, they lose a bunch of weight, and then they go off of it? I know that there's some people that are concerned that once you go off of these weight loss medications, that the weight comes right back. Is that something that can happen, and maybe there's some more effective ways to keep it off?
Yeah, so anytime you do any lifestyle, including medication, changes for weight loss, it needs to be something that you can maintain. So, excuse me, if you come off of the drugs and you're not keeping up with the healthy habits that helped get you to that weight loss threshold that you met, then yeah, there is potential for weight regain. So you want to make sure that any changes that you do during the weight loss process are things that you can do long-term to maintain. Some people do need drugs long-term, so that is a possibility. These drugs are also meant that they can be continued for weight management. And so not just for weight loss, but for maintaining the weight that's been lost. So if it's, for some people, weight is very heavily genetic. And so if they've struggled with weight and everyone in their family has struggled with weight outside of diet and exercise changes, that if they already eat pretty healthy and they exercise pretty much the way that they're supposed to, but they still can't maintain a healthy weight, then they could be candidates for long-term medication therapy.
What else can we talk about with regards to this? I mean, we're smack dab in the holiday season. People tend to overindulge themselves, overeat, that sort of thing. And let's say January 1st comes around, they want to work out more, they want to eat healthy, they want to put off that weight. What's your best advice for so much of the population that just wants to do a little bit of that, maybe lose that excess, 10, 15 pounds?
The first thing I usually tell them is, why are you waiting? Why don't you go ahead? Don't wait till January 1st. Go ahead and start now. They don't have to be big changes. You don't have to throw out all the food in your pantry and start from scratch. Little bitty steps make a lot of progress long term. So increasing your steps from 5,000 a day to 7,500 a day. That's a small step that you can do, and you don't have to wait till January 1. Make it fun. Do things that you enjoy doing. If you do not like going to a gym, you're not going to stay going to a gym. So do things that you like, that fit into your life, that work for you.
Anything else you want to add, Dr. Daigle, before we let you go? This has been great. I appreciate you joining us here.
As with anything, talk to your physician, talk to people that know your medications, that know your specific case, because it needs to be decided on a case-by-case basis. These medications are not right for everybody.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, listen, Dr. Lee Daigle with Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare, we really appreciate your help with all this, just kind of deciphering between fact and fiction. Thanks so very much. Happy holidays.
Thank you. You too.
Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. 33 degrees now at 8:40. Again, you're taking a look at a live picture from our High Five camera in Midtown Memphis. You can see downtown off in the distance. Gorgeous skies, not a cloud anywhere. We'll be talking more about your forecast coming up in just a little bit. Right now, go Tigers, go. We're talking about the Memphis Tiger men's basketball team finally cracking the top 25 in both the Associated Press and the coaches poll. Former AAC rival Houston ranked 3rd. AAC newest member, Florida Atlantic, is 14th. Virginia, who the Tigers play at FedEx Forum tonight, ranked 22nd. Ole Miss is ranked 25th. Tip-off with the Memphis Tigers and the Virginia Cavaliers is at 6 o'clock tonight. Check out this special tribute on South Parkway in Memphis. City engineers installed new street signs honoring Jarvis Greer. Yes, our former Action News 5 sports director. Of course, Jarvo grew up in the Lamar Airways neighborhood, spent a lot of time nearby Glenview Park, and now a portion of the street in front of his childhood home bears his name. Congratulations to Jarvis Greer and his family. All right, Memphis Tiger fans, time to show your spirit and support the Memphis Tigers playing in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium next week, a week from this Friday. You can get your tickets right now. Tigers are going to face off against the Iowa State Cyclones Friday, December 29th. This is a rematch from the 2017 AutoZone Liberty Bowl when the Cyclones beat the Tigers by 1 point, 21-20. This is the 10th straight year that the Tigers have gone to a bowl game, and hopefully they can add another W to their 9-3 season. You see the scan of the QR code right there? Just scan that code. You can get your tickets and cheer on the Memphis Tigers in person at the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, December 29th. Hungry for the holidays. That's how some students may spend their break away from class, but one district in Arkansas making sure that doesn't happen. The Batesville, Arkansas School District has opened an in-school food pantry. Not only will food be given out weekly, but also before holiday breaks. The school district said the food boxes include simple meals like ramen noodles, cans of soup, and much more so that students can make the food for themselves. And while Santa and his elves are preparing for the sleigh this Christmas Eve deliveries, they do get a little help from the U.S. Postal Service. They gave us a behind-the-scenes look at their new holiday operation. We were invited to the Memphis Mail Processing Annex on Sweeney Road to check out the hard work, and man, the technology has really upgraded their packages and their system and the sifting of packages of where they need to be. They have 348 machines that process about 8,000 pieces an hour, leaps and bounds ahead of some of those old machines. If you need to ship gifts within the U.S., last day to use priority mail is Wednesday for it to arrive on December 23rd. Okay, as we approach the second half of December, it'd be nice to get an update on flu cases, RSV, COVID. So right now on the Action News 5 digital desk, we are joined by our friend, infectious disease expert, Dr. Shirin Mazumdar. She is going to be talking about these things. Dr. Mazumdar, appreciate you being back with us. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you very much. So how are flu cases looking right now?
So according to the Tennessee Department of Health, most of Tennessee is seeing a mild to moderate level of activity when it comes to flu cases. But here in Shelby County, we're actually seeing a high level of flu activity. So we're seeing the highest number of cases for the entire state. Here in Shelby County, the percentage of emergency room visits for influenza-like illness is 6.2%. So that number has steadily been going up. And we are seeing more flu cases in the ER than we did at this time last year. On a national level, what we're seeing here in Shelby County is very similar to what we're seeing throughout the country, where flu cases are really ramping up, especially in certain geographic areas like the Southeast, South Central, and West Coast regions. And flu hospitalizations nationwide are also increasing. According to the CDC, so far this flu season, there have been 3.7 million flu cases, 38,000 hospitalizations due to the flu, and 2,300 flu-related deaths.
How does that compare to last year? I mean, is this a higher flu season or a more infectious flu season?
Overall, we're very on par with what we were seeing last year, but there are always some variations, and what we're seeing at least right now, especially here in Shelby County, is higher than what we were seeing last time at this year.
Okay. What about COVID cases? How do they compare to last year, and is there a recent uptick?
So here in Shelby County, the 7-day average for COVID-19 cases is 789, and that has actually been steadily going up. Around Thanksgiving time, that 7-day case number was 458. But the good news here in Shelby County is that the number of hospitalizations due to COVID-19 has actually been decreasing at the present time. So the 7-day average for COVID hospitalizations here in Shelby County is 25, and that is about 47% less than what it was the week before. Throughout the country, COVID hospitalization rates have been steadily increasing. In fact, this is the 5th consecutive week where COVID hospitalizations throughout the country have been going up. We haven't seen this level of hospitalizations in the country since the end of February. But the good news is, on the flip side, overall, we're seeing less number of COVID hospitalizations than we did last year at this time.
Okay, bit of good news there. Dr. Mazumdar, thank you. And we've been doing a lot about this RSV vaccine that is out not only for older Americans, but for some younger ones as well. Where are we on the RSV outbreak? Is there one? And are the vaccines helping?
Yeah, so this is the first year that we have an RSV vaccine for pregnant women in the 3rd trimester, older adults over the age of 60, and a monoclonal antibody for RSV for children under the age of 8 months, and even some infants under the age of 19 months if they're high risk. So here in Tennessee, according to the CDC, our RSV cases are slightly decreasing. It's measured by a 3-week case count for RSV positive tests. And currently we're at 22%, which is down from 24% from the previous data. So cases are slightly going down here in Tennessee, and that's very similar to what we're seeing on a national level, where hospitalizations are slightly decreasing. We're hopeful that we're seeing the peak of RSV right now, meaning that we're seeing the greatest number of RSV cases for the RSV season, but we'll need to follow those numbers to make sure that that trend is continuing to go downwards.
We have so many stories, Dr. Mazumdar, about the increase in people traveling this holiday season, either by car or through the airports. So there's going to be a record amount of people traveling to see family members and loved ones out there. Other than, washing your hands with soap and water, would you give any other recommendations to people who are seeing family, maybe in different states across the country, and at the same time they just want to remain healthy and not sick?
Yeah, really the cornerstone of prevention still rests with vaccines. It's really important to be up to date on the vaccines that you're eligible for. And actually the CDC issued an alert to physicians and healthcare providers last week, really urging us to get our patients vaccinated because the vaccination rate is so low. So if you're over the age of 6 months, you are eligible for the flu vaccine and the COVID-19 vaccine. If you're over the age of 60, you are eligible for the RSV vaccine. So really our vaccination rates are lagging right now. So we really want to see those numbers come up so that people can stay protected.
Anything else we can add before we let you go, Dr. Mazumdar, that we haven't touched on yet?
Andrew, I think that we really want people to be healthy and safe this holiday season and also into the winter months. Vaccines are so important, but also we do have treatment options available for the flu and COVID-19. So if you feel sick, stay home and get tested. And if you're high risk, certainly reach out to your doctor or healthcare provider to see if you're eligible for medication, which can really help.
All right, appreciate the numbers, the breakdown, and the info from Dr. Shirin Mazumdar, infectious disease specialist with Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare. Happy holidays. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Happy holidays to you too.
Do you want me to bring over Aaron Fleming?
Yeah, I was about to do it. You beat me to it.
Yes. How long was it?
It was
7 minutes?
longer than that.
Oh, man.
About 10.
Oh, jeez. He'll get better. now, I want to talk about a musical that is 1 week away, that is coming to Memphis. It is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the musical. Yes, it is coming here, and it's going to be at the Orpheum Tuesday, December 19th. Again, 1 week from today. Amazing to think that a character like Rudolph is going to be on stage, but we are joined right now by the character, the person that plays Rudolph. Talia Gloucester joining us on the Action News 5 digital desk. Talia, good morning to you. Tell me how this all came about to take Rudolph and then make a musical about it. Good morning.
Good morning. Hey, yeah, I love talking about this show. And yeah, it's just, you know, the 1964 animated special is pretty much perfect. And a group of people said, let's put this on stage. And that's exactly what we do. We make sure to have all the icons and the aesthetics and the sounds that people are so nostalgic for and know pretty much as well as we do. The audiences know this show as well as we do. So we try to make sure we represent that nostalgia, and then we add the extra pizzazz of live theater, and it makes for a very good time, if I do say so myself.
It looks like it. I mean, the costumes are amazing, as you mentioned. It follows the unique 1960s, right? I mean, this is the back in the day Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Wasn't that Bert Ives, I think it was?
Yeah. He was voicing the Sam the Snowman.
Yes. I love it. That's great. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Talia.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I went to UCLA, and that's when I moved to Los Angeles to, start my acting career. And then through a number of connections, that's how I landed this gig with Rudolph, which has been such a pleasure. And the way I got it felt like being in the right place at the right time. So I'm really grateful to be with the show.
It sounds amazing, and to be able to take a classic, a holiday classic, and bring it to life on stage. Tell us what the audience members can expect when they go. I mean, this is, you mentioned, it's a take on the original, which goes back to the 60s.
Yeah. So it's the story that people know and love with the characters people know and love, like Clarice, Hermie the elf who wants to be a dentist, Charlie the misfit puppet, all those characters that I think bring people back to watching that TV special, when they were kids. For a lot of the people who are grandparents now bringing their grandkids, it's really a multi-generational experience. So I think they can expect a lot of nostalgia, or for people like those grandkids who this is their first theatrical experience, they can expect a lot of fun interaction with the characters from the stage, and some sing-alongs and some flying reindeer. It's for all generations, and it's a great time no matter what your age is.
I also find it interesting, Talia, that there is this tie-in with the National Bullying Prevention Center. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, well, this is a story about a kid who is this is an anti-bullying story, basically. And things turn out really well for Rudolph in the end, because, he learns to nurture his difference, what makes him special. And he has a community of people around him who support him and show him that he doesn't actually have to be shunned for this one little difference in his nose. And so that's a beautiful tie-in, and it's great that the show has partnered with an organization to amplify that message.
That's awesome. I love that. And I love this, the Abominable Snowman. I mean, I remember that as a kid looking at that like, whoa, that is scary.
Oh, yeah. And he's huge on our stage. We get some screams for sure every time he makes his appearance.
I bet. Anything else you want to tell the audience in Memphis that's thinking about coming out here? We have thousands of people that join us each and every morning.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Orpheum, I'm personally really excited to be in the Orpheum. It looks like a gorgeous theater. And for us, we get to be celebrating Christmas starting in November when our tour begins. But I think there's no better way to celebrate than with this show and with us as a cast. So we really hope to see you there in the Orpheum, and I can't wait.
So that is 3 performances there next Tuesday, December 19th. Is I guess you wouldn't have much time to do anything else. Have you ever been to Memphis before?
No. We usually as a cast we like find our ways to sneak out and do some sightseeing. So I'm sure we'll see some fun things.
Good. I hope so, and I hope you get some great barbecue as well.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Talia Glosser, congratulations on landing this gig and the success of the musical. Have a great holiday season, and we look forward to a wonderful stop here in Memphis at the Orpheum. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll see you there.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 First Alert Digital Desk here. And of course, we're talking about a very cold start to your day across the Mid-South. At least, though, sunshine wins out and temperatures warm up into the 40s, close to 50 degrees this afternoon. But one thing to note is that we'll start to see a few clouds sneaking back into the skies as well. And those clouds thicken up as we roll through the next 24 hours. And that will be part of the story for the better part of probably the next 7 to 10 days, honestly. More clouds in the skies across the area amid milder temperatures. Cold start on our way towards the 40s this afternoon. Again, maybe eking out 50 if you can stand enough sunshine, but we'll see a few high-level clouds start to streak across the skies as we head towards the late afternoon, early evening hours. Those clouds will start to thicken up as we get through the overnight period into the start of your Wednesday. Morning start in the 30s. We'll work our way back towards the 50s by the afternoon hours. See the clouds breaking a little bit overnight Wednesday into early Thursday. Again, starting off in the 30s, and then you notice here come the clouds rolling back in here. So we'll go with a variably cloudy look as we head towards your Thursday. Rain holding off, but it's on its way and will be making its presence known as we head towards the upcoming weekend. Notice those rain opportunities. I think on Friday we'll have a 20% chance for a shower. Probably the best chances in eastern Arkansas, to be honest. Then opportunities for rain start to sneak up a little bit. 30 to 40% opportunities going into your Saturday. All amid temperatures in the upper 50s to near 60 degrees. But a first alert to a soggy sleigh ride for Santa's arrival here in the Mid-South. And that's going to bring us waves of rain, a few storms through the weekend. And of course, if you've got travel plans, could be impactful from the standpoint of dealing with the rain showers, some gusty breezes from time to time, and mild temperatures will keep us away from having a white Christmas. Here's a look at that storm system. And really, it's two different storm systems. One that it will be exiting on Friday into Saturday. Another one will be reloading back out to the west. This one's the one that's going to be coming onshore on the west coast Thursday, leading into Friday, into Saturday, coming out of the desert southwest, coming in our direction, bringing us waves of scattered showers, maybe a few rumbles of thunder by the time we head towards your Sunday into Monday. Of course, it could be the reds and greens on the radar, along with the reds and greens of your Christmas tree lights. As we go through that time frame, of course, it will be a wet go of things for Christmas Day. And then eventually a frontal boundary will make some progress through the area that will eventually usher in some cooler air. But I don't think we're talking about that happening until probably the middle portion of next week. In the meantime, 48, lots of sunshine. Enjoy it while we have it today. Winds turning more southerly. That's going to help to import the clouds, import the moisture that will bring us in more clouds for Wednesday and Thursday. We'll call it variably cloudy to mostly cloudy these days as temperatures warm up middle and upper 50s tomorrow. closer to 60 come Thursday, and then eventually a couple of shower chances Friday, Saturday, more so Christmas Eve and into Christmas Day, and probably lingering into the day after Christmas before beginning to slowly but surely trend drier by the back end of next week.
There was an article that was written in the Daily Memphian a few days ago, and the title of the article was Few Trials, Many Dismissals at 201 Poplar, according to various reports. And there was some data that was inside this article written by Aaron Fleming that suggested and talked about this very issue. It was data from the Tennessee Administrative Office of Courts, and it showed from July 1st, 2021 to July 30th, 2022, so a one-year stint here. 55% of criminal charges, not cases, in Shelby County were dismissed. And this article goes deeper into this issue of that there's essentially fewer trials and many dismissals at 201 Poplar, downtown Memphis. Let's bring in an organization that is also focused on this issue. I am joined now by a couple of people, both Court Watch manager Yanni Gibson, and then you can see data scientist Ryan Carroll there. Both of you are part of justcity.org, and I appreciate you joining me on the digital desk. Can you talk briefly, first off, what justcity.org is? I know that some people know about it. You guys have been around for more than 5 years, but for people who are just learning about you, tell us about your organization.
Sure. You want to go, Ryan, or do you want me to?
Just City is an sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to correct my name. It's Yene. Go ahead, Ryan.
Thank you. Thank you, Yene.
Yeah, Just City is a nonprofit organization that has the mission of advocating for a smaller, more humane criminal justice system in Shelby County. We do that through a number of programs, from expungement to our bail fund, to the Public Data Accountability Project, and you name much.
Okay, appreciate it, Ryan. And tell me, and I open this up to both of you. Did you read that report and your thoughts on some of the conclusions? I mean, there really weren't that many conclusions, but there were certainly opinions as to why there are fewer trials happening in Shelby County and many dismissals. But I'd like to get your take on that.
Well, I would say from a Court Watch perspective, it's just really inefficient the way that we do trials, because there's only one set at the beginning of each week. So we call juries in on Monday, and if the trial's not going or a trial's not prepared, then the jury gets sent home, and there's no chance for them to maybe start a midweek trial. And that way things just take so much longer, because everything in our system is pretty inefficient. It feels like it's designed to work that way.
Ryan, did you want to weigh in?
Sure. Yeah. In terms of the number of dismissals, former Judge Bobby Carter had a report that outlined how the number of trials is an issue and causing high number of dismissals, and that's certainly the case. But it more of a yes and. This is being caused by fewer trials, which means that the system depends on people pleading guilty, which means that people stay in jail longer until they plead guilty, or they are faced with higher number of charges or higher severity of charges, which then encourages them to plead guilty to lower charges or fewer charges, so that this system can keep on moving.
So from both of yours perspective, from justcity.org's perspective, how do we fix this? Because a lot of people say, okay, we need more trials and we don't want to see dismissals unless it is in fact justified. So how do we fix and resolve the problems right now at 201 Poplar? Ryan, let's start with you.
We are doing our part to provide these judges with information on how long they're taking to dispose these cases. And really a lot of it is just procedure. People need to take responsibility for whatever their role is in the criminal justice system, and they need to determine people's innocence or guilt in a timely manner and not leverage long stays in jail or threats of very long sentences in order to dispose cases.
Yanae, did you want to weigh in?
Yeah, I would say just having a full day of having court, because typically court will run from around 9 a.m. till 12. But if we had a full day, like a actual like 9 to 5 work day, I think we could get things done faster. And then trials would take a lot less time. And I think also just having midweek trials and allowing juries to come midweek as well, instead of just sending them home on Mondays.
Yeah, it seems like this is apolitical. I mean, I think both sides of the political aisle want to see more efficiency downtown with our justice system, and I think that there are complaints to go around and just kind of figure out, okay, how do we fix this? You mentioned Ryan, Bobby Carter, who was cited in this case, and there was a mention in that article that there are more than 300 murder cases pending right now. I mean, how do we change that? I mean, it's absurd to me that there are 300 pending cases, and just last week there was one from 2018 that involved the former head of the Greater Memphis Chamber with a guilty plea. I mean, that was back in 2018, almost 6 years ago, and we're just getting to it now. It seems absurd. I'm just trying to figure out how do we resolve this. Yanae, do you want to start?
Honestly, I think having as much like public awareness is one of the keys, because our court system has been hidden for so long. It has gone on really without accountability for so long, so that if we have enough people who are paying attention, I think we can just showcase like just how inefficient it is. And even our public defenders need help. Like we have, we don't have enough public defenders to take as many of the murder trials as we have. But I think, yeah, it takes just a lot more in the courtroom work. And so extending those hours would be one of the best ways, I think.
Yeah, I can see that, and certainly that's a great start. Ryan, anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think something that is really important is that 300 number is really just pending trials for cases that have been cleared. MPD has a very low clearance rate for murders, and so if that clearance rate were to increase, this backlog would increase exponentially over time. And so like this issue, it's this bad because of those low clearance rates. And so it becomes so much worse, so much more quickly. If these murders are actually being solved.
I think your sigh that you just gave really says it all, Ryan. I think we're all just really frustrated on how this works. I want to switch topics just a little bit here and pivot, because recently, in fact this week, Just City was in the news in this war of words back and forth between Tennessee State Senator Brent Taylor and Shelby County DA Steve Mulroy. And Brent Taylor wrote a letter to the governor. He's written a letter to Tennessee Attorney Generals talking about DA Mulroy aligning himself with a number of groups considered liberal groups. And one of the groups he mentioned was Just City, in addition to Justice Innovation Lab, Vera Institute. And these groups, according to State Senator Brent Taylor, have turned Mulroy into a weak-on-crime prosecutor and very concerned about lenient prosecutions and that sort of thing. Tell me where you stand on this. Are you familiar with this war of words? I'm sure you guys are. But Ryan, let's begin with you.
Yes, I am familiar. And I feel like my work on the Public Data Accountability Project at Just City is in some ways at the center of it, because he discusses agreements or data sharing that doesn't happen. My background is in data and technology, and we've acquired this data over time. There's not a conspiracy of any sort between these things. These organizations, Vera, Just City, Justice Innovation Lab, they just want people to be prosecuted fairly, and they want people to be held accountable, but in a humane way. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, just going from your website though, Ryan, Just City feels like money bail is unfair. Is that right? And if so, how does Just City think how we should deal with the bail system?
Oh, money bail is absolutely an unjust and unfair system. If a rich person gets accused of the same crime as a person struggling with poverty, it doesn't make any sense that one person gets to go home and fight their case from home and the other one is forced to stay in jail in horrible conditions just because of money. It's not about letting every single person out. It's about using discerning judgment to either keep them in jail or let them go, but money should never be a factor in that.
So how do we fix it? What's the bail system? What's the bail system? What's the best way to effectively have a bail system in Shelby County?
The Vera Institute created a calculator for bail so that people are able to go much more in depth than what we were currently doing to understand if money is an issue, but also Just City and all of these other same organizations also care about public safety. We want people to be safe, and money bail is not keeping us safer. And so the calculator allows the pretrial services to understand like what their safety risk would be, what their financial capabilities are. And so if someone does not pose a risk to the community or to themselves, there's no reason for them to be in jail while they're waiting on their case to resolve, because in our system, you are innocent until proven guilty. So you should have that same ability to fight your case and work your case from home the same way that anybody with means would be able to.
Okay, there was a person that was charged recently. It made headlines. A person charged with first-degree murder, didn't have a criminal background. He was released with his own recognizance by a judge, and a lot of scrutiny has been put on that judge right now. Where does Just City stand on that issue? Are you familiar with it?
Yes, I believe it was. Yes, we are familiar with it. That it's really up to the judge, and that's the judge's discretion. If this person was shown to not be a risk to public safety, like a further risk, because clearly if they're charged with first degree murder, they have shown some risk, but if they've shown to not be like a further risk to the public or a risk of running, the law states that they have the right to be released, which is why the judge was able to do that.
Okay, and Ryan, feel free to weigh in as well. I mean, there's some concern with the public though, because we get those emails, those calls, those concerns, because first-degree murder means premeditated murder. And again, these are charges; they're not convictions. This innocent until proven guilty, of course. However, based upon evidence that police have, that's where they charge this person with first-degree murder, being released on their own recognizance. Eyebrows go up. People are wondering what's happening, and they're very concerned. Tell me your reaction, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it yourself. To hold people almost presumes guilt to some extent. To say that they're a risk to the community presupposes that they were guilty of the crime in the first place in a lot of ways, and these people are not. I have been working in the criminal justice system for a long time now, and I've seen cases where someone is charged with an aggravated assault, but they have text messages from the person in all caps saying, I'm going to put a charge on you until you get back together with me. And therefore that person was allowed to go on a very low bond, even though it's a scary charge, it's an aggravated assault. But the judge used their discretion to recognize that this person was not a risk. They didn't reoffend. And if someone is being released on their own recognizance for a first-degree murder, I would have to think that there is a good reason. And I mean, these things come into the media, and so every judge has a strong incentive to use their best judgment and to try to keep the community safe in the best way that they can.
I gotcha. And so that's where Senator Brent Taylor is coming from when he says Just City supports ending cash bail and lenient prosecutions. I'm going to give you guys the last word here on all this. Yanae, let's start with you.
Just City does support ending cash bail. That does not mean Just City supports anybody who's being convicted of things to just be free and have free reign on our community, because we do care a lot about public safety, but we also care a lot about transparency and accountability. And so we are we don't believe in lenient necessarily like prosecution, but we do believe in fair. And if it's if we have an unfair system, I can see how making it fair probably feels more lenient. But we're just trying to make sure that everyone, regardless of their past history or their economic status, we want to make sure everyone has the same fair chance.
Okay, Yanae. And Ryan, did you want to add anything?
Yes. First, it's that really so much of this is about making our criminal justice system more efficient and bringing justice to the people that harm others in our community, but doing it in a fair way. Research, and in terms of bail, research all over, so many research studies, so many examples from all over the nation have showed that these bail reforms do not make our communities less safe, they make our communities more safe. Because when people are not held in jail, they don't lose their jobs, they don't lose their homes, they're not forced into desperate situations, which pushes them back into a life of crime. We released numbers, the Shelby County released numbers to show that these bail reforms before and after have not led to an increase in crime, and these narratives are just fundamentally false.
Okay, we're going to have to let that be the last word. Ryan, Carol, and Yanae Gibson, we appreciate your time. Certainly a conversation that needs to be continued. Thanks so much for coming on the Digital Desk. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's talk about the holiday season, and we're right in the middle of it, okay? We have everything on our list. We're getting a lot of things are coming at the last minute, and a lot of times we want to gift wrap things and get things sent to us. Of course, it comes in boxes, and then there's the wrapping paper. On all of that, okay, you may not think about that, but there is a lot of waste going on. In fact, the EPA says Americans generate an additional 1 million tons of waste each week of the holidays. You can help by reusing and recycling, of course, but you need to make sure you recycle right. Let's bring in WM's Brent Bell to talk to us more about some of the best ideas for recycling. So, you know, Brent, we're bombarded with all kinds of wrapping paper and boxes when we order online. First off, can most things be recycled like boxes? And what are some easy rule of thumbs to live by during the holiday season? Good morning.
Sure, good morning. So WM's the nation's largest recycler, and we see a lot of the good and the bad stuff come in through our recycling facilities during the holiday season. So a few quick tips. Paper, cardboard, bottles, and cans can be accepted in all recycling programs. If you do get your cardboard box, here's the best tip. Take out the recycling, the bubble wrap. Take out the bubble wrap. Flatten the boxes down, put those in the bins. Those are great. If you look at when you're choosing your gift bag selection, bags that have a lot of laminate, a lot of glitter on there, not very recycling friendly. So choose a craft bag like this one. These are very recycling friendly and can be turned back into a new garbage bag in no time at all. So as you're looking through your recycling bin, make sure you're recycling the right items. Paper, cardboard, bottles, and cans, widely accepted.
How should we dispose of some of those Christmas lights? You know, sometimes on the Christmas tree, we have some broken lights. Are they recyclable? What can we do for those?
Yeah, so lights are a great idea. Extension cords, batteries, things that plug in. They don't belong in a normal curbside or recycling program. You can take those back to oftentimes a retail location, like a home goods store, like a Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart. They'll often take back some of these electrical items, but they don't belong in the recycling bin. Sometimes, you know, they can tangle up the equipment, and so we encourage our folks to take those to store locations again.
What about some common mistakes out there that you see overall with recycling? Not just the holidays, but overall. I mean, a lot of times, let's say something in the kitchen, you know, perhaps breaks down. Is it a good rule of thumb to, you know, remove any food with it or remove any items inside and so you can recycle it? I mean, what are some common mistakes and some good reminders for people out there?
Yeah, so as you're emptying out your plastic jars and tubs and lids, these are great for recycling, but we do ask that they're clean and dry, so take those out. There's other items that come in the recycling bin. We call it wish cycling. So folks that are putting too many items in the bin that really don't belong there, like a propane tank. These don't belong in the recycling bin. When they're compacted, these can actually cause an explosion. It can be very dangerous to our workers or drivers. And then my personal pet peeve is the bowling ball. We get 6,000 bowling balls a year that come into our recycling facilities. They do not belong in the recycling facility. They cause a lot of damage, as you can imagine, through our equipment. So we really encourage folks to make sure that those items don't go in the recycling bin. Look back at the proper locations to take these materials back, especially when it comes to batteries and propane tanks.
Wow. Did you say 6,000 bowling balls?
That's right. We get a lot of bowling balls for some reason, and they're not recyclable in the programs today. But we definitely encourage folks not to put bowling balls in their recycling bin.
Let me ask you, when someone does send things that aren't recyclable, for example, some plastic bags or electrical cords, what happens when they are sent to you? Where does it go?
Yeah, so when it does come into our facilities, we have WM's done a lot of investments, hundreds of millions of dollars in facilities. This is one of our newest investments facilities behind me. What happens is it causes some downtime in those facilities because it gets tangled around all the machine and the equipment. And sometimes if you're putting the good items in the bin, it'll destruct that item and make it so that it's very difficult to recycle as well. So anything that could tangle in the bin, chains, garden hoses, you know, the extension cords, Christmas lights, we encourage folks to not put those in the recycling bin. If there's a take back program at a retail store, that's fine. And sometimes it just may have to end up in the garbage.
What about, let's talk about Christmas trees for a moment. What are the best ways to recycle those?
Yeah, so like this beautiful Christmas tree behind me, oftentimes communities will have local collections. It's more of an organic collection. These trees can be collected with yard waste, turned back into mulch and other things like that. They're great for the environment, but they don't belong in the recycling bin. But look for your local chapter to collect. Maybe there's a drop-off center they have around Christmas time. We see those pop up. They could take these back and actually turn them back into mulch.
You know, Brent, this has been very informative for people just, wanting to encourage sustainability this time of year. Where can viewers find some more information on this?
Yeah, so we encourage folks to visit our website, WM.com. We have a Recycle Often, a Recycle Right page. It'll show you all the good items that you can put in the bin and then items that you can't put in the bin. We also encourage you to check with your local municipality on what's acceptable for their local program. Sometimes they vary from city to city.
Okay, Brent Bell, Vice President of Recycling Operations with WM. We really appreciate your time. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 First Alert Digital Desk here. And of course, we're talking about a very cold start to your day across the Mid-South. At least, though, sunshine wins out and temperatures warm up into the 40s, close to 50 degrees this afternoon. But one thing to note is that we'll start to see a few clouds sneaking back into the skies as well. And those clouds thicken up as we roll through the next 24 hours. And that will be part of the story for the better part of probably the next 7 to 10 days, honestly. More clouds in the skies across the area amid milder temperatures. Cold start on our way towards the 40s this afternoon. Again, maybe eking out 50 if you can stand enough sunshine, but we'll see a few high-level clouds start to streak across the skies as we head towards the late afternoon, early evening hours. Those clouds will start to thicken up as we get through the overnight period into the start of your Wednesday. Morning start in the 30s. We'll work our way back towards the 50s by the afternoon hours. See the clouds breaking a little bit overnight Wednesday into early Thursday. Again, starting off in the 30s, and then you notice here come the clouds rolling back in here. So we'll go with a variably cloudy look as we head towards your Thursday. Rain holding off, but it's on its way and will be making its presence known as we head towards the upcoming weekend. Notice those rain opportunities. I think on Friday we'll have a 20% chance for a shower. Probably the best chances in eastern Arkansas, to be honest. Then opportunities for rain start to sneak up a little bit. 30 to 40% opportunities going into your Saturday. All amid temperatures in the upper 50s to near 60 degrees. But a first alert to a soggy sleigh ride for Santa's arrival here in the Mid-South. And that's going to bring us waves of rain, a few storms through the weekend. And of course, if you've got travel plans, could be impactful from the standpoint of dealing with the rain showers, some gusty breezes from time to time, and mild temperatures will keep us away from having a white Christmas. Here's a look at that storm system. And really, it's two different storm systems. One that it will be exiting on Friday into Saturday. Another one will be reloading back out to the west. This one's the one that's going to be coming onshore on the west coast Thursday, leading into Friday into Saturday, coming out of the desert southwest, coming in our direction, bringing us waves of scattered showers, maybe a few rumbles of thunder by the time we head towards your Sunday into Monday. Of course, it could be the reds and greens on the radar, along with the reds and greens of your Christmas tree lights as we go through that time frame. Of course, it will be a wet go of things for Christmas Day, and then eventually a frontal boundary will make some progress through the area that will eventually usher in some cooler air, but I don't think we're talking about that happening until probably the middle portion of next week. In the meantime, 48, lots of sunshine. Enjoy it while we have it today. Winds turning more southerly. That's going to help to import the clouds, import the moisture that will bring us in more clouds for Wednesday and Thursday. We'll call it variably cloudy to mostly cloudy these days as temperatures warm up middle and upper 50s tomorrow. Closer to 60 come Thursday, and then eventually a couple of shower chances Friday, Saturday, more so Christmas Eve and into Christmas Day, and probably lingering into the day after Christmas before beginning to slowly but surely trend drier by the back end of next week.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Nearly half of all holiday decoration fires happen because something is set up too close to a heat source. This is something that happens all the time, and unfortunately, it ruins that holiday for sure. Let's bring in someone to just kind of give us those friendly reminders, those tips, suggestions, and great ideas to make sure this holiday season is happy and safe and festive for everyone out there. I'm joined now by Jarita Hollins, once again on the Action News 5 Digital Desk, making another appearance, looking very festive. Good morning to you, Jarita. Let's talk about this idea. I mean, first we got to start with the live tree, right? I mean, everybody, when you think about the possibility of some holiday fires out there this time of season, people naturally think about the tree. What can you tell us? Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Andrew. Good to see you again as well. So with your live trees, you want to make sure that you water live trees daily. You want to make sure that you can keep them throughout the holiday season. So that means that you have to water the live trees daily. You don't want the trees to dry out. Otherwise, that could lead to a fire hazard. Now, if you have an artificial tree, like so many of us do, you want to make sure that it is fire resistant.
Yes, because even if you do have an artificial tree, it could still be flammable and you could still run into some problems. So great advice there. I also want to make sure that our audience knows that Jarita works at Regional One Health. So that is very important. She works as a coordinator for burn and trauma services there. Let's talk now about the lights. Okay, everyone is hanging up lights inside the house, outside the house. Where's some friendly reminders that we can make sure that we are following this time of year?
Right. So we only have a few more days to get those decorations on the houses outside and hanging up those pretty festive lights. So you want to make sure that when you're outside hanging your lights, that you have a ladder that is the appropriate height for you. And you want to have someone that's nearby to hold that base so that you don't fall, because we want to prevent any type of injuries this holiday season. So make sure you have someone who's standing by, who's holding the base in order to prevent a nasty fall. And when you're inside, you're decorating your trees, make sure that when you're hanging ornaments, those small, tiny ornaments, hang them up high on your tree so that those small hands that are a little bit curious and those wagging tails on our furry friends don't knock those ornaments off the tree and cause damage because small parts can easily be ingested by pets and young children.
Yeah, good point there. No question about it. Those toys, a lot of times, they can break off, and kids, little kids especially, can deal with a choking hazard for sure. What about the kitchen? What about those areas? Of course, it's very cold outside right now. It's going to get cold and colder and warmer throughout the holiday season. What are good guidelines to just kind of make sure that when people come over, family, friends, loved ones, that you are maintaining a safe atmosphere, whether it's in the kitchen or elsewhere?
As far as maintaining a safe atmosphere in your kitchens, when you're baking, when you're cooking, never leave food unattended in the stove, on top of the stove. Again, young children, pets could come by and knock things over, of course, unintentionally. So we just want to make sure that when you're cooking, you're baking, you're doing things in your kitchen, that you are attentive to what you're doing, you're paying attention, and never walk away and leave anything on the stove unattended.
Right, and then I guess that's the same that goes with fireplaces and candles that people love, especially this time of year, those Christmas scented candles. Those are big hits. What else can we mention, Jarita?
Absolutely. As far as leaving burning candles unattended, that is a big no-no. Never leave burning candles unattended. And also, when you are getting ready to leave your home, make sure that you extinguish those candles. You put the fires out in your fireplaces, you unplug your space heaters. All of those things are potential fire hazards if left unattended. Keep matches and lighters out of the reach of children. Consider using those battery-operated flameless candles. They come in a lot of different colors. That's a smart choice. Also, when it comes to fire safety, check the batteries in your smoke detector to make sure that it's working.
Good idea for sure. And then finally, a lot of us going to be driving around, maybe going to friends and families' homes and celebrating all the different festivities out there. Any lasting recommendations on that?
Absolutely. Be careful, pay attention, and buckle up, definitely. Pay attention to the road and what's going on around you. Avoid distractions such as holding and talking on your cell phone, reaching around in your vehicle looking for things, and also follow the speed limit. And if you do happen to overindulge and drink a little bit too much, make sure that you have a designated driver and call an Uber or a taxi to get you home safely. And most importantly, pack your patience. There will be many last-minute shoppers out there, and so you want to be sure that you're mindful and that you're watchful and pack plenty of patience because you'll need it for this holiday season.
Okay, Jarita Hollins with Regional One Health. Appreciate the friendly reminders, the suggestions out there. Make sure you have a wonderful Christmas and holiday season as well, Jarita. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Same to you, Andrew.
All right, thank you. Another live look from our High Five camera in Midtown Memphis. 36 chilly degrees as you get up on this Tuesday morning. 9:39 is the time. We'll be right back in 60 seconds. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We know about the holidays, and we all like to sometimes overeat, overindulge ourselves. I mean, we got family, we got friends. It's the holidays. It's the most wonderful time of the year, right? Well, unfortunately, some of those things can take a toll on our body. And one of the things that we experience as Americans is heartburn. Yes, heartburn. In fact, 60 million Americans suffer from heartburn at least once a month. So what's the deal with heartburn right now? Let's bring in someone to talk more about this issue. Sherry Torkos, an integrative pharmacist. She's on the Action News 5 digital desk to talk about this issue. I mean, you know, Sherry, good morning to you. I mean, we got family and friends. We got, you know, we're stressed out trying to get all the gifts under the tree for Christmas Day. But, you know, we finally make it to the day. We have these rich, amazing meals, and then we start to feel some kind of way in our stomach. So let's talk first off about heartburn and what causes it. Good morning.
Sure. Good morning, Andrew. Thanks for having me. Yeah, the meals are always great when we're eating them, but it's when it comes back to bite you afterwards, right? I think we've all been there where we've eaten maybe a little too much, and then we go away from the dinner table feeling bloated. We feel pain, discomfort. And for people that have heartburn, and this is quite common, in fact, almost everybody's going to have heartburn at some point in their lives. And as you mentioned, there's 60 million Americans that suffer with it monthly. It's a real problematic issue. Heartburn occurs when we have a refluxing of stomach acids back up in the esophagus. And it's that burning pain in your chest, the discomfort. It's always worse after a meal or when you're laying down. And it can be a really uncomfortable problem to find yourself in.
I totally understand, and I don't know if it's me, but all this talk about heartburn, I'm kind of feeling a little weird right now. But anyway, we'll continue on with this interview. So there's a new study that I understand, Sherry, from the Journal of Neurology that talks about frequent heartburn medications, dementia. I heard this a while ago, that some of the medications that are out there for heartburn aren't the best for us, and maybe there's a more natural, more effective way to handle it. Can you give us the fact from fiction kind of disparity here?
Yeah, for sure. So, this group of medications that have been evaluated in this study, the Journal of Neurology and others, it's called PPIs, or proton pump inhibitors. And this is a class of drugs that shut down acid secretion in the stomach. And they've been available over the counter for about 20 years now, and they are widely used. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't stick to the recommended duration of use, which is 14 days. People often take them chronically. And in this recent study in the Journal of Neurology, what they found is that people that were taking these PPI drugs for 4 years were at a 33% greater risk of dementia compared to people who had never been taking these medications. And researchers believe there are a couple of mechanisms at play here which increase the risk of dementia with the use of these medications. The first is that these medications cause a deficiency of vitamin B12, which is a very important nutrient for cognitive function. And secondly, they also impact calcium and magnesium absorption, magnesium in particular, which is also important for brain function and the health of our nerves. And then there's also some changes and alterations in the gut bacteria, the microflora, that could be at play here. So this is not new. There's been actually a couple of studies in the last few years that have drawn this conclusion. And it's very concerning. As a pharmacist, I worry about this because I know dementia is such a difficult to manage condition that impacts families in such a troubling way. And the fact that these medications, the overuse of these medications, is increasing the risk of dementia, it's concerning.
Concerning indeed. So, all right. So the $25,000 question is, how do we handle heartburn safely out there if we get it, Sherry?
Well, there are definitely things you can do to prevent and manage heartburn. So starting off with your eating habits, if we can have smaller meals, eat more slowly, which gives our body the ability to digest better, that can make a big difference. Also taking a digestive enzyme at the beginning of your meal. I often do this, especially if I know I might be having a little bit more than I'd like to. I take a formula called Digest Gold, which has enzymes to help break down the protein, carb, and fat throughout the digestive tract. That can help improve digestion. But if you find yourself faced with heartburn, you have an acute episode and it's an occasional problem, what I would suggest looking for is something that is over the counter in pharmacies and health food stores. It's very safe and works very quickly. It is called Heartburn Soothe, and it contains alginate and prickly pear cactus. Now, alginate, it's been around for decades, and what this substance does is derived from brown algae, and it absorbs 300 times its weight in water. And when you ingest the alginate in this Heartburn Soothe, it forms a barrier like a raft at the top of your stomach contents after a meal, and it prevents the acids from refluxing back up your esophagus, because that's what happens with heartburn. Acids reflux up, you get pain around your chest area, discomfort. So this prevents the refluxing of the acids, but it also helps to protect and help to heal and rebuild the stomach lining with the prickly pear cactus. So I love this because it works quick. And you know, when you have heartburn, you want something that's going to give you relief right away. You don't want relief a couple hours later or the next day. It's something where you need an acute treatment.
Couldn't agree more, Sherry. Absolutely. Where can we go to learn more information about this?
Yes, you can check out my website, sherrytorkos.com. It's SherryTorkos. Sherrytorkos.com. Check out my blog page where I talk about some of my lifestyle tips and strategies to beat the holiday heartburn. You know, again, eating small meals, supplements can help, and also making sure after you finish that big meal that you don't go and lie down, that you stay upright, because when you lay down, that makes it easier for those acids to reflux into the esophagus.
Good advice, Sherry Torkos. We appreciate your time this morning. Thanks so much for the info, and happy holidays.
Thanks so much. Happy holidays.
Okay, Andrew Douglas back here at the Action News 5 digital desk. Wow, so many viewers out here. We've been talking a lot about dementia. We've been talking a lot about Alzheimer's disease. There are some warning signs that you can pick up if you really watch for them and you know what they are. Let's bring in Bill Love. He is with Right at Home Memphis. And he is here to discuss some of those warning signs as we gather for the Thanksgiving meal tomorrow. Bill, good morning to you. Tell me some warning signs out there that we could pick up.
Good morning, Andrew. Thanks for having me on today. And I would tell you that this is a perfect time of year to have this discussion, because people are traveling to see family members between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And a lot of times that's when they notice some differences in their loved one. So just to quickly run through a little bit about some things you may want to look for. First, you want to look for some memory loss that is disrupting daily life, where somebody's forgetting, especially recent events. Maybe they're supposed to be somewhere, maybe they're supposed to be going somewhere, and they just don't remember those things, even though it's happening, you were told yesterday, and it's happening today. Another thing to look for is challenges with problem solving or planning, where somebody's not quite able to get everything together to go on a trip, or they are having trouble with their checkbook and they seem to have trouble, paying the bill and that type of thing, things they did easily before. Another example is difficult difficulty completing familiar tasks, maybe forgetting how to work the coffee pot, not being able to work the oven or the microwave. Definitely looking at confusion of time and place. Do they know where they are? Do they know what day it is? That type of thing. Another one is trouble with visual images or spatial relationships. You could also notice that they're having some new problems with words or speaking. And this is not, I'm 65 myself. I sometimes am searching for that word and it just doesn't come up as fast as it used to. And we're not talking about that. We're talking about where you're really having a hard time communicating. You can't ever just grab the words you're trying to grab, or you use the wrong word. Also misplacing things, which we all do, but this is misplacing things and not being able to retrace your steps to try and find where you left them. Or as they say, it's always in the last place you look.
Let me ask you something, Bill. Let me jump in real quick.
Absolutely.
Let's say you have a family member that has several of these. You're at the Thanksgiving meal. What's the best way to kind of broach the subject, saying, hey, there might be something here. How do you say it in a diplomatic way, I guess you could say?
Well, there's a couple of things that you need to be you need to be concerned with, and that is you don't want your loved one to think people are ganging up. So it should be a conversation one-on-one, or at most let's say two children talking to their mother or father. You don't want it to be a big group where somebody feels like they're being ganged up on. And what you really want to do there is you want to gather your information. You want to be prepared. You want to say, these are the changes that I've seen since we've been here. Have you noticed any of these things? You want them to be in a comfortable place. You don't want to do this at a restaurant. You don't want to do this at somebody else's house. You want to have the conversation in a place where your loved one is comfortable. You want to be as objective as you can be. Everybody brings a lifetime of memories and different things in a family, but you just want to say, here's the things we're seeing. Have you noticed any of this? You want to have it all.
It's like a one-on-one conversation that you should have with your loved one, and then what are next steps after that? Do you see a physician? Tell me what you recommend.
So I would say that it's very important to see a physician, because there's no one test that will say, yes, we're going to give you a diagnosis of Alzheimer's or dementia. So you'll want to start with your primary care physician, tell them what the issues are, and they'll start to run some tests. They may recommend that you go to a specialist who will run some more tests, and it's a combination of blood tests, neuroimaging, actual mental tests where you're taking some tests to see how your brain is functioning at the time. But it's very important to get an early diagnosis, because the earlier you identify that there's an issue, the earlier you can start some treatments that may slow the progression of the disease. Andrew?
Sorry, there's been a lot of developments. You mentioned that the earlier we can get it, the better, because there's been, within the last 5 years, a lot of developments in terms of drugs, in terms of things that people can take in order to at least slow the progression or maybe even stop it in some instances. Final thing, as we wrap this up, Bill, anything else you want to mention before we let you go?
Well, I want everybody to realize how important this is. Right now, we estimate there's a little over 55 million people living with Alzheimer's dementia in the U.S. We think it'll be 84 million people by 2050. So it's important to recognize and to begin to get a diagnosis so that we can treat. And as you said, it is there have been dramatic changes in how they treat and some of the things that are coming out from the pharmaceutical companies that we really think maybe in this next generation we'll be able to defeat Alzheimer's and dementia. And I'd also like to say anybody who needs some somebody to talk to, it's also great to call the Alzheimer's Association. They're nationwide. This is all they deal with. And there's a 800-272-3900 would be their phone number if you need somebody
to talk to.
That's a great
association. I've done plenty of work with them. The Memphis chapter, very active. Bill Love, we appreciate your time this morning. Thanks very much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 First Alert Digital Desk here. And of course, we're talking about a very cold start to your day across the Mid-South. At least, though, sunshine wins out and temperatures warm up into the 40s, close to 50 degrees this afternoon. But one thing to note is that we'll start to see a few clouds sneaking back into the skies as well. And those clouds thicken up as we roll through the next 24 hours. And that will be part of the story for the better part of probably the next 7 to 10 days, honestly. More clouds in the skies across the area amid milder temperatures. Cold start on our way towards the 40s this afternoon. Again, maybe eking out 50 if you can stand enough sunshine, but we'll see a few high-level clouds start to streak across the skies as we head towards the late afternoon, early evening hours. Those clouds will start to thicken up as we get through the overnight period into the start of your Wednesday. Morning start in the 30s. We'll work our way back towards the 50s by the afternoon hours. See the clouds breaking a little bit overnight Wednesday into early Thursday. Again, starting off in the 30s, and then you notice here come the clouds rolling back in here. So we'll go with a variably cloudy look as we head towards your Thursday. Rain holding off, but it's on its way and will be making its presence known as we head towards the upcoming weekend. Notice those rain opportunities. I think on Friday we'll have a 20% chance for a shower. Probably the best chances in eastern Arkansas, to be honest. Then opportunities for rain start to sneak up a little bit. 30 to 40% opportunities going into your Saturday. All amid temperatures in the upper 50s to near 60 degrees. But a first alert to a soggy sleigh ride for Santa's arrival here in the Mid-South. And that's going to bring us waves of rain, a few storms through the weekend. And of course, if you've got travel plans, could be impactful from the standpoint of dealing with the rain showers, some gusty breezes from time to time, and mild temperatures will keep us away from having a white Christmas. Here's a look at that storm system. And really, it's two different storm systems. One that it will be exiting on Friday into Saturday. Another one will be reloading back out to the west. This one's the one that's going to be coming onshore on the west coast Thursday, leading into Friday into Saturday, coming out of the desert southwest, coming in our direction, bringing us waves of scattered showers, maybe a few rumbles of thunder by the time we head towards your Sunday into Monday. Of course, it could be the reds and greens on the radar, along with the reds and greens of your Christmas tree lights. As we go through that time frame, of course, it will be a wet go of things for Christmas Day. And then eventually a frontal boundary will make some progress through the area that will eventually usher in some cooler air. But I don't think we're talking about that happening until probably the middle portion of next week. In the meantime, 48, lots of sunshine. Enjoy it while we have it today. Winds turning more southerly. That's going to help to import the clouds, import the moisture that will bring us in more clouds for Wednesday and Thursday. We'll call it variably cloudy to mostly cloudy these days as temperatures warm up middle and upper 50s tomorrow. Closer to 60 come Thursday, and then eventually a couple of shower chances Friday, Saturday, more so Christmas Eve and into Christmas Day, and probably lingering into the day after Christmas before beginning to slowly but surely trend drier by the back end of next week.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Porch Pirates, man, we can't stand them. And I mean, you want to talk about a Grinch that stole Christmas? Well, Porch Pirates are stealing your holiday gifts this season and for the last several seasons. In fact, there's some new numbers that came out. Worst metro cities for package theft. And unfortunately, Memphis has made the top 3. Let's bring in Rebecca Edwards. She is talking with us here on the Digital Desk about this, one of the SafeWise experts that looks at these numbers. Rebecca, good morning to you. Let's talk about, first off, the problem with Porch Pirates and how bad is it in Memphis compared to the national average? Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, Porch Pirates unfortunately just continue to keep hitting our packages more and more every single year. And unfortunately, this time Memphis got caught out at the top of that trend. Mainly, it's related to the number of larceny thefts that are occurring per capita in the area. There's almost 30 larceny thefts occurring per 1,000 people in the Memphis area. And then there are sky-high numbers of people searching for, what do I do with the stolen package? How do I deal with a missing package? How do I protect my packages? And so people are worried about it. It's top of mind, and it's happening.
Exactly. And so just for the record, looking at some of the list here, I see that number 1 when it comes to worst metros for package theft is Seattle, number 2, Memphis, number 3, San Diego, 4, Birmingham, Alabama, and then 5, the Denver area. I know that it feels like so many people, or at least every other person, has those Ring cameras or at least doorbell cameras, but that's not really making an impact when it comes to theft, is it? Or am I wrong about that?
The thing about cameras, unfortunately, I think that when we first started to see them on, doorways, they were more of a deterrent. People were afraid of getting caught on camera. But as the number of videos out there with people just kind of looking straight at the camera, popping their collar, pulling down their hat, and running off with your package anyway, that it's not deterring the thieves. They don't care. They feel like it isn't leading to them getting caught. And so they're getting more and more brazen. But there are cameras that I do recommend people look for, and that is a more proactive camera. That flashing, strobing lights, high whistles, shouting, piercing sirens, these things are stopping them in their tracks, and they tend to run off without taking the package. And that's what we want.
Where do you get those cameras? Are they doorbell cameras as well?
Some of them are doorbell cameras. Vivint has a doorbell camera that does that, but more often they're a little bit larger outdoor camera. And if you go to safewise.com, we have a whole selection of them for you. The top 2 that I would recommend are from Reolink and a brand called Lindo. They're specifically designing these cameras, and you don't have to have a subscription with them, so that they can help startle and scare away instead of just document.
Okay, I love that idea for ways to prevent package theft. What else can we do that's practical so we can limit that kind of targeting, I guess?
Yeah, the easiest things you can do, because package theft is a crime of opportunity. If you don't give them the opportunity, your package isn't going to get taken. And so tracking your packages is very important. Requesting a signature upon delivery if you can, because that means they have to put the package in someone's hands and not just leave it on the porch. Using package lockers, or holding the package to go pick it up later at FedEx or UPS. You can also, a lot of people, the number 1 thing people are doing after they have a package theft is banding together with their neighbors and working as a team to either have a package captain on the neighborhood that's home during the day that can help collect packages, let people know the package is there, and make sure it stays safe before the bad actors can get them.
Yeah, and we see it all the time here. Not only people allowing FedEx to drop off their package at the local Walgreens, but also people will deliver it to where they work during the day, and that way there's always someone here to get it. So I love that there's other ideas, and then neighbors just working together with neighbors to work, just kind of prevent that kind of theft in their community. What happens if your package does get stolen and you have, the video proof of it happening? What do you do then?
Well, first of all, I recommend that everybody file a police report because it is a theft and this is a crime that it doesn't have its own category, but we're getting there because it's becoming so prevalent. And if you can let law enforcement know it's happening in your neighborhood, number one, it helps lawmakers put stiffer penalties on the books. And number two, it lets law enforcement know if there's a pattern or a trend. If someone is an organized group is working in your neighborhood, and they can put out extra patrols and help you keep an eye out. But also contact the person that you bought the product from. About 47% of the people that we've talked to were able to get a replacement direct from the seller. Another 46 got a refund if they didn't get a replacement. So contact police, contact the vendor where you purchased your package, and you're likely to get some kind of compensation, if not a replacement for that item.
Very helpful tips, Rebecca. Anything else we can touch on with regards to this issue?
Well, one of the things that I found, we polled people across Tennessee at large, and we found that package theft is the most top of mind crime that people are worrying about actually happening to them in the state. And 4 in 10 people in Tennessee had a package stolen in the past 12 months.
Yeah, it is an issue for sure. And Rebecca Edwards, you're all over it, lead safety reporter at SafeWise. Thank you so much for giving us some great advice and great ways to not be the next victim of porch pirates. We appreciate it. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Okay, there's another live look from our High Five camera in Midtown Memphis. 39 degrees, 10:08. Back in 60 seconds. So we are about to enter winter season, and during the season we know that there's all kinds of viruses, there's all kinds of sicknesses out there, and so we're doing our best to try and keep ourselves and our family healthy. But what happens if your child is sick and they say, "Mom or Dad, I'm sick," and how can you determine whether your child is physically sick or if it's more of a mental health issue? Let's talk more about that right now with clinical psychologist Dr. Andrea Bonnier. She's joining us right now on the Action News 5 digital desk. So what's the first step that parents should take if they suspect their child's not feeling well? Dr. Bonnier, good morning.
Good morning to you. Thanks for having me. So in terms of first steps as a mom, definitely my first step is to go to my medicine cabinet, and I always have those Binax Now COVID-19 self-tests by Abbott there because you want to test and have the peace of mind to know what you're dealing with and be empowered. Whenever there's sniffles or some sort of medical symptom, you can also, of course, consult with a healthcare provider for extra information. But as you mentioned, a lot of times the kids are dealing with emotional stressors, and this can show up in physical ways. So we want to be able to have a conversation about that as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, because normally, I mean, I have 2 children, and it's like, okay, if they're sick, all right, let's figure out what's bothering them and maybe what we can do if there's some physical symptoms versus other symptoms as well.
Exactly. So you want to make it feel safe and comfortable for them to talk about feelings. I think sometimes this is easier said than done, but we want to open up a dialogue where we're not accusing them or assuming that they're just trying to get out of school, but we really want to hear what's going on in their lives. We can ask them what's important to them, what's coming up for you, what's been on your mind. There might be a holiday party or some sort of exam that's coming up that is really stressing them out. So the key is really to create a situation where they feel comfortable talking about feelings and they feel like it's okay to do so.
What about when it comes to a parent determining, doctor, that there's in fact a mental health issue? Then what direction do we go with that?
Yeah, and this is hard because a lot of kids might not be able to explicitly say that that's what's going on. So a lot of times too, it's important to watch and listen. If you see patterns, you see changes in behavior, or changes in their eating or their sleeping patterns, changes in their social lives. But really, if they're going to take a mental health day or have a day off from school, it's important that it's not just a free pass off from school. It's important that we treat it as a healing day. What can we do to actually cope better? How can we strengthen you? How can we maybe get you additional support if you need it? How can we learn some relaxation exercises or really become more aware of your feelings and how to manage them? That way, when they go back to school, they'll feel more energized and actually like the problem is a little bit more solved than if they were just trying to avoid school. Because when they just avoid and they don't feel like they're working on it, then it gets harder to go back.
Okay, Dr. Bonier, let's just kind of overview for the thousands of people who are joining us on the digital desk. If their child's not feeling sick this winter season, we got viruses, we got COVID, the flu, RSV, that sort of thing. Give me maybe 2 or 3 bullet points of what we should do.
Yeah, so talk to them, have those COVID-19 self-tests by Abbott, those Binax Now COVID-19 tests on hand. Make it okay for them to speak with you about their feelings. And also additionally, Abbott has some resources at rapidtest.abbott/BinaxNow to help navigate this tricky time when there's so much going around mentally and physically.
Okay, Dr. Andrea Bonier, clinical psychologist, we appreciate you joining us on the digital desk. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you too.
Welcome back to the Action News 5 digital desk. 39 degrees, 10:14 on your Tuesday. Lots of sunshine out there. We'll be talking more about your forecast in just a little bit. But right now, I want to talk about Christmas being less than a week away. Children, of course, going to be gathering around the tree and with their families. And that is something that is special that will always, you'll remember that moment in your heart if you've seen it before, of course, with your kids and family. But, you know, there are a lot of children. In fact, there's 19,000 in Tennessee that have at least one parent incarcerated. And the picture of Christmas is very different and very challenging. In fact, incarceration puts a heavy strain on so many families and children in particular. That's why Prison Fellowship's Angel Tree program, it really does seek to ease the burden by providing gifts to children on behalf of their parents who are incarcerated. Joining me now on the Action News 5 digital desk is Morel Pruitt. He is the Church Mobilization Manager for Prison Fellowship. Morel, I appreciate you joining us on the digital desk. How are you this morning?
I'm great, privileged and honored to be here. Thanks for asking. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you. So tell me about Prison Fellowship. How long have you guys been around? And tell me what you guys do for people that are in the Mid-South, our Memphis area. Good morning.
Good morning. So Prison Fellowship Ministries has been around since 1982. We were founded by Chuck Colson, who was implicated in the White House scandal, the Watergate scandal back in the late 70s. He started this ministry, so it is going on for 41 years. What Prison Fellowship does is we have inside of the correctional institutions, we have, and we're in all 50 states, and we have some in foreign countries also. We have programs or academies set up for inmates. They have to sign up through the chaplain and the warden to be able to get into this program. But what the program is, it's a 40-week program that concentrates on everything from leading them to Christ, helping them deal with substance abuse issues, preparing them for when they re-enter into society. There's also things in there as far as dealing with anger management, conflict resolution. And so once they are in part of that program, they are then cleared through the chaplain and the warden to participate in Angel Tree. And so Angel Tree gives their child a Christmas gift from that inmate, and we connect the child with a local congregation or local nonprofit. And then not only that, but their gift has a message from the incarcerated parent. So it's an amazing ministry tool.
It sounds like it, Morel. Tell me about these gifts, because I understand it's not so much materialistic, it's something more. It's a sense of hope, isn't it?
It definitely is a sense of hope. Those children whose parents are incarcerated are dealing with an additional strain of that parent not being present. And so you could imagine what they are dealing with. They're more likely to be depressed. They're more likely to end up in that correction, the cycle of being incarcerated. But this gift gives them hope. And it opens up doors for so many other things, because by us connecting them with a local church or nonprofit, that opens that door for that church to now be part of that child's life, because you have access to that family, that caregiver, so you can keep in touch with those children throughout the year. And there's nothing like that feeling of being left out, or my father, my mother, grandfather, uncle has forgotten about me, but now I'm able to get a gift and some sort of hope that lets me know that my person, my loved one is concerned about me, has reached out to me and made that connection.
How active is the ministry here in the Memphis, North Mississippi, West Tennessee, Eastern Arkansas region?
We are very active. And not only do we do the Angel Tree at the end of the year, we also have events throughout the year that children can participate in. We have Angel Tree Camp, where the children are sponsored through Angel Tree and Prison Fellowship Ministries. We can send them out to a summer camp for a week, no charge. And not only do we cover the children of the incarcerated parent, as we know that many times in that house there is a blended family there. There may be children there with different father or mother. We will send every child in that house to summer camp for free. We have sports camps that we offer where children are connected with professional athletes. They get a half a day at a camp. They're given basketball skills, sports skills, what have you, but we also give them shoes. We also give them a basketball, a football, and then they actually get to spend time with those athletes. We have lots of different things that we do. It's not just Christmas, but that's just the Christmas gift. As we always, one of our main things is it starts with the gift. So the gift is the first thing that they get, but that just opens the door for ministry and relationship throughout the year.
You guys have been around a long time, since 1982. How many lives have you changed over the years? I know it's hard to quantify, and you probably have specific numbers in various areas, but would love to hear you know, just kind of how your mission as an organization is changing lives?
We have, oh wow, I don't think there is a number I could actually put on it. But just this year alone, we did over the United States, we did 250,000 children. In the state of Tennessee, we did a little over 4,500 children in the state of Tennessee. And I know in Memphis, Shelby County, that number was close to 900 children. So countless lives. I have testimonies of people who were former inmates. We serviced their children, and now they are pastors. They are, some of them actually ended up working for Angel Tree Prison Fellowship Ministries. So it is changing lives. I will do events at different parts of the country, and I have people coming up to me saying, hey, you know, I got Angel Tree when I was a little girl. I got Angel Tree when I was a kid. You guys did gifts for my children when I was incarcerated. You guys did gifts for my sons, for my grandchildren while my son or daughter was incarcerated. So we are affecting millions of lives throughout this 42 years.
How can someone get involved if they want to be a part of this program?
You can go to pfmprisonfellowshipministries.org, and you have some tabs there where you can click on to either donate or participate in Angel Tree. Even though it is close to Christmas, we are still receiving donations, and you can actually go in and sponsor a child virtually. We don't have enough time right now for you to actually give them an actual gift, a toy or something, but you can go in and do a virtual sponsorship where you can click on a child and send a donation to them through to us, and then we will send them out a gift card, or and with a note from their parent also saying that giving them some well wishes for Christmas time.
Morrell Pruitt, we really appreciate your willingness to come on the digital desk and talk about the Prison Fellowship Ministries, pfm.org, if our viewers would like to donate. And thank you for all that you do for the Angel Tree program and for Prison Fellowship Ministries. We appreciate your time. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, you too. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
God bless. Okay, thank you. 10:24 is the time, 39 degrees. Back in 60 seconds.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 First Alert Digital Desk here. And of course, we're talking about a very cold start to your day across the Mid-South. At least, though, sunshine wins out and temperatures warm up into the 40s, close to 50 degrees this afternoon. But one thing to note is that we'll start to see a few clouds sneaking back into the skies as well. And those clouds thicken up as we roll through the next 24 hours. And that will be part of the story for the better part of probably the next 7 to 10 days, honestly. More clouds in the skies across the area amid milder temperatures. Cold start on our way towards the 40s this afternoon. Again, maybe eking out 50 if you can stand enough sunshine, but we'll see a few high-level clouds start to streak across the skies as we head towards the late afternoon, early evening hours. Those clouds will start to thicken up as we get through the overnight period into the start of your Wednesday. Morning start in the 30s. We'll work our way back towards the 50s by the afternoon hours. see the clouds breaking a little bit overnight Wednesday into early Thursday. Again, starting off in the 30s, and then you notice here come the clouds rolling back in here. So we'll go with a variably cloudy look as we head towards your Thursday. Rain holding off, but it's on its way and will be making its presence known as we head towards the upcoming weekend. Notice those rain opportunities. I think on Friday we'll have a 20% chance for a shower. Probably the best chances in eastern Arkansas, to be honest. Then opportunities for rain start to sneak up a little bit. 30 to 40% opportunities going into your Saturday. All amid temperatures in the upper 50s to near 60 degrees. But a first alert to a soggy sleigh ride for Santa's arrival here in the Mid-South. And that's going to bring us waves of rain, a few storms through the weekend. And of course, if you've got travel plans, could be impactful from the standpoint of dealing with the rain showers, some gusty breezes from time to time, and mild temperatures will keep us away from having a white Christmas. Here's a look at that storm system. And really, it's two different storm systems. One that it will be exiting on Friday into Saturday. Another one will be reloading back out to the west. This one's the one that's going to be coming onshore on the west coast Thursday, leading into Friday into Saturday, coming out of the desert southwest, coming in our direction, bringing us waves of scattered showers, maybe a few rumbles of thunder by the time we head towards your Sunday into Monday. Of course, it could be the reds and greens on the radar, along with the reds and greens of your Christmas tree lights. As we go through that time frame, of course, it will be a wet go of things for Christmas Day. And then eventually a frontal boundary will make some progress through the area that will eventually usher in some cooler air. But I don't think we're talking about that happening until probably the middle portion of next week. In the meantime, 48, lots of sunshine. Enjoy it while we have it today. Winds turning more southerly. That's going to help to import the clouds, import the moisture that will bring us in more clouds for Wednesday and Thursday. We'll call it variably cloudy to mostly cloudy these days as temperatures warm up middle and upper 50s tomorrow. Closer to 60 come Thursday, and then eventually a couple of shower chances Friday, Saturday, more so Christmas Eve and into Christmas Day, and probably lingering into the day after Christmas before beginning to slowly but surely trend drier by the back end of next week.
You know, the time change, we talk about this every time there's daylight saving time, there's a change of the clocks, whether you spring ahead or you fall back, because a lot of times the changing of the clocks really mess with people. And there are so many people that have this seasonal affective disorder. I know there's some people in my household that have it as well, and it just really affects their mood. We're talking about shorter hours of daylight, and that can really do a number on people. And so let's bring in someone to really kind of talk about this issue, seasonal affective disorder. So maybe we can figure out, one, if we have it, and two, what to do about it. Dr. Laura Schultz with Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare joins us now on the Action News 5 Digital Desk to talk more about this issue. Dr. Schultz, nice to have you back with us. So let's tell all of our viewers out there, we have thousands of them, what exactly is seasonal affective disorder? Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me. So I think one thing to keep in mind is that seasonal affective disorder actually is not a separate disorder in and of itself, but it's a form of major depressive disorder or bipolar disorder that presents with a distinct seasonal pattern, which just means it really comes and goes around the same time every year. So the most prevalent type of seasonal affective disorder, the one we always think about, is that winter depression. I think that's what you were alluding to earlier, which for most folks hits somewhere in November to December, seems to get its worst around January or February. And then if you did no treatment at all, would still get better sometime around May. For folks who experience this winter depression, a lot of times their first symptoms are physical. So they might want to just linger in the bed longer than usual, or they want to sleep in quite a bit. But no matter how much they sleep, they seem to be tired and fatigued during the day. Maybe they're craving more carbohydrates, digging into that cookie jar more than usual, starting to gain a little bit of weight. And then usually for folks who are experiencing this winter depression, about 2 weeks after those physical symptoms start, 2 or 3 weeks later, they start having the more depressed symptoms of mood. And then it starts to look much more like a traditional depressive episode. So people feel sad more often than usual. They might start just not being as they might not enjoy the activities that they used to enjoy quite as much. They might start lacking energy, having difficulty with their sleep or their appetite, feeling more worthless, guilty, having problems concentrating. And for some, where it gets really severe, they can even start to experience thoughts of death and suicide once it has hit that major depressive episode stage.
Yeah, I mean, it can be pretty severe. I know that. But Dr. Schultz, let me ask you, how can you tell the difference between seasonal affective disorder and just having a few bad days? Because I know that there are people that might not know the difference.
Yeah, for someone to have that seasonal affective disorder, by definition, these bad times have to come in a pretty rhythmic fashion, arriving in the fall, typically leaving by the spring. And they really have to be present for at least 2 weeks, more often than not during the day, for more days than not, nearly every day during that 2-week period. That's where it crosses into the like disorder sort of phase. I think many of us have bad days, and adjusting to the time change is hard. I think for the majority of people, we get kind of bummed and sad when we come out of work and it's dark already and we don't get to do the things that we enjoy right after work or after school. And so those ups and downs can be pretty natural. And then of course, this does correspond with the holidays, which can be a more stressful time for people as well. So if it's only lasting for a few days at a time, or it's present for moments throughout the day, but not the majority of the day, I think I'd be a little bit less worried that it's at the disorder stage. But it's still a time where we can practice those good coping techniques that we have, perhaps getting some more exercise or spending time with the people that make us feel the most loved, leaning into the spirituality or faith traditions that are most important to us, or maybe planning time for extra activities that bring us joy and satisfaction. So if you know you're going to go through that, I almost think of it as like a winter funk, different than a seasonal affective disorder, maybe putting those good coping techniques into place and realizing that for some of this is somewhat normal, can be helpful.
Yeah, the coping techniques for sure. I know that people are going to want to know the best counteract method to seasonal affective disorder. If you had to, maybe kind of do a bullet point list, maybe 1, 2, 3, what would that be?
Yeah, I think number one would be make an active effort to get outside. When it gets colder, we have a tendency to want to go inside and withdraw a little bit more, but being outside in the fresh air, getting some sunshine can be really helpful. Seasonal affective disorder has been linked to less daylight, and it's exacerbated by our time inside. So I would say bundle up and get outside, at least for a few minutes every day. Number two, I would say really work hard to try to create and keep a daily schedule for yourself. What that means is trying to get up around the same time every day within an hour or so, trying to go to bed around the same time every day. And that would be regardless of our work schedule or our school schedule, weekends or holidays. Just keeping that rhythm, avoiding naps, is going to allow us to keep that internal clock set the right way, which can release all those good neurotransmitters that help us with our mood and our sleep over time. Another thing that I would say, number three, would be move your body. Exercise is linked to improved mood, energy, and of course, all the physical health benefits. And so it can really be a powerful tool in our tool belt to counteract any sort of extra stress or depression that we might be experiencing. And I realize that for some folks, if you don't have an exercise routine going, that can feel somewhat overwhelming to get started. So I would say start with little bits, 10 minutes, maybe a walk around the block before you go to work, or a walk after you get back, little breaks to just get up and move during the day. Start with something small and then just build on that as you're successful. And Methodist has launched a Healthier 901 initiative that can be really helpful if you're needing some ideas or extra support to get started on that more physically active journey. You can find out more about that at healthier901.com. Another thing I would say, probably my last big point would be make sure you get some sunlight. Preferably during the morning. Daily time outside, especially in the morning, can be super helpful. There's also some studies that show that things like dawn light stimulators used in your bedroom as you're waking up that kind of mimic the sun coming up at a more regular time can be helpful for just making sure you're waking up on time and in a healthier fashion. But not all light is good. We want light, but we only want the good kind of light. So the blue light that we get from our phones and our televisions, our tablets, our computers, that can really be disruptive for sleep. So about an hour before bedtime, I would make sure that you're really minimizing any of that blue light exposure that you have as well, just so you can really get that good quality sleep that helps counteract some of the impact of seasonal depressive symptoms.
Those are fantastic, Dr. Schultz. Wow, you really gave us a lot there and ways to counteract seasonal affective disorder. Before we let you go, when is it time to say, okay, I need to see a doctor about all this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think unfortunately a lot of people have lived with seasonal affective disorder for years, and they've just brushed it off or minimized it as this is just my experience in the fall and the winter. So if you are one of those people who have these repeated episodes of almost every fall and winter, or many of them being really hard and bad in terms of your mood, there is no reason to suffer alone. We have good, effective treatments for seasonal affective disorder. Medication can be used with great efficacy. There's also really specialized light treatments out there that your doctor can talk with you more about. And sometimes we use those in combination with medication or by themselves, depending on your symptoms. And then psychotherapy can also be a helpful tool, especially to try to address some of the negative thoughts that come along with experiencing seasonal affective depression. So going to your doctor if you have those repeat struggles is really important. Another thing that I would say is, I guess, the one bright spot about seasonal affective disorder is it's somewhat predictable. So you know this time of year is probably the time of year that you might be experiencing some of these struggles. And especially if you start to have some of those physical symptoms, the lethargy, the wanting to stay in bed, the craving the carbohydrates more than usual, that's like your body's warning sign that, hey, that emotional downturn might be coming. So if you start experiencing those things, it would certainly be time to make an appointment with your doctor to figure out what you can do, what effective treatments you can use so that this doesn't have to be a hard time of year for you again. And then finally, I would say if at any point you're experiencing the more severe symptoms that sometimes go along with seasonal affective disorder, where they're impacting your ability to function, to love your family, to engage at work in the way that you want, you can't get out of bed, or those suicidal thoughts start coming up, we certainly want you to see your doctor immediately in those cases as well.
Okay, Dr. Laura Schultz with Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare talking about seasonal affective disorders and ways to beat it. We appreciate your time. Great, valuable information. Thanks so very much.
Thank you.
I want to talk a little bit about a report that came out just a few days ago. This is about how few trials and many dismissals at 201 Poplar are happening. So we're talking about various reports focused on this revolving door that we hear about so often at 201 Poplar, the Shelby County Jail, and what is happening and why there are fewer trials and many dismissals. It is an interesting topic and certainly ripe for a journalist to do. In fact, there is a journalist with the Daily Memphian who put together his report just a few days ago to talk about some of the reasons behind these trials and these dismissals at 201 Poplar. And I'm joined now by that journalist with the Daily Memphian, Aaron Fleming, joining us on the digital desk to talk more about this report that you put out a few days ago. Aaron, good morning to you. I appreciate you joining us on the digital desk. So give me first a little bit of a backstory. Why did you do this report in the first place?
Yeah, so I appreciate you having this morning, and kind of the idea with the report is you've got Bobby Carter's report that came out earlier this month. So Bobby Carter was contracted by, outgoing Mayor Strickland back in July to do this kind of court watch report and kind of figure out what was going on there. And then Just City, the local nonprofit, also did a report back in October. And this is a program, their court watch program, they have done for a couple of years now. And they've released, I think this was their third report. And so kind of the idea with the stories that I did was to kind of combine those reports. And kind of look at we've got these two groups essentially that are sitting in and observing the court system and kind of look at, okay, what did they both find? Were they finding similar things, and just essentially kind of outlining their findings. So
yeah, no, I appreciate it. Aaron, I love, good old fashioned journalism and looking through records and trying to come up with why things are happening the way they are. Certainly efficiencies have not been something new at 201 Poplar. There's a lot of people that have complained about this revolving door. So tell me what your report found specifically.
So I think with Carter's report, it focused a lot on the trials for sure. It was largely narrative compared to Just Cities, which had a lot of data, but it definitely focused a lot on the lack of trials that are being held. His big claim was that there are, so his report looks at September 1st of last year to kind of the end of November. And he says that, less than 40 trials were held compared to 200 during his tenure. That was 200 a year. And he was on the bench from 2010 all the way up until this last election where, he decides not to run for re-election. He was replaced by Judge James Jones. And so that was kind of the biggest bulk of that. And then he, kind of provided some solutions as to how we could kind of increase the number of trials that we're doing. Just City looked at more, a lot of different things. They looked at how long it's taking cases to get resolved, how many, charges we're dismissing. They also include in the report, they use volunteer court watchers with their program. And so they have them sit in and kind of judge observe the demeanor of judges and how they talk with defendants and things like that and kind of rate them based on those things. And that's all also included in the report. So
I gotcha. And, I had a chance to talk with Just City, and, this whole issue of 201 Poplar, the revolving door, the increase in crime that we are seeing in Memphis over the last 12 months or longer, it's become very political. I'm sure you're well aware of that, seeing the landscape, the political landscape. It is something that is fodder for, red meat, I guess you could say, for a lot of people. For example, Steve Mulroy, the Shelby County District Attorney, has got a lot of blame on this issue of revolving door. Down at 201 Poplar, very low bail, if any bail at all. In fact, Shelby County State Senator Brent Taylor, who represents parts of Memphis and Eastern Shelby County, has mentioned on more than one occasion how Steve Mulroy has aligned themselves with left-leaning groups like Just City who believe in no bail, no money bail at all. And so he's asked state leaders and others to try and help this crime issue. One of the issues that Brent Taylor brings up is how people at 201 Poplar, they go in and then they come back out. I know that your report focused on, essentially the numbers for the most part. Do you see perhaps a follow-up on how some of these solutions can be resolved so that we can have some accountability at 201 Poplar?
Yeah, I think it's definitely something to look at as far as, do these things get implemented? And I talked with Carter about that a little bit, as far as like how soon or how reasonable, are these things to actually get implemented. And I think he mentioned that, these things could be implemented immediately, but these also, especially with some of the things that we're seeing now with the trial backlogs and things like that, like I know we're past the pandemic, but when you ask people about, why do we not hold trials and things, that's what's pointed to a lot is the backlog of the pandemic, because jury trials weren't held then. And that's still something that we're coming off of. And so I think, there's a lot of factors at play, and I think it's an issue that's built up over a number of years. And so I think solutions that are put in place, maybe they could be immediate, or in the near future, but I think also maybe the results wouldn't be immediate either, right? It would take time to see them have an effect. It wouldn't be an overnight thing necessarily, right?
No, I appreciate it, Aaron. Is there anything else you wanted to mention? I know, I believe his name is Bill Anderson, a judicial commissioner who was in the news recently with regards to a first-degree murder suspect being released on his own recognizance, and that got a lot of news play across the Memphis landscape. And so a lot of people questioning him, what's he doing? Why would he do that? Where is this going to be resolved? Are we going to fix it? Is DA Mulroy going to help this? Are we going to see more of this? Where do you see other reports that you're focused on with regards to this topic in the future?
I think all I'll say on that is just that, Bill Anderson has mentioned before, and he made these comments in regards to when the recent bail data and the data on the bail reform was presented to the Shelby County Commission and kind of the results of that, that he, and these were comments that were highlighted by Brent Taylor in a recent letter that he made, that, essentially Anderson, loves ROR or, and he's given reasons for that. And I think what he's mentioned is just the conditions that you can place on it versus if somebody makes bond, and because the bond company won't place conditions on them as far as having to check in or go through different screenings or things like that while they're out on bond. The bond company just, what Anderson has mentioned is that they'll take their payment, but they're not checking in with the person in between then. So I think that's the argument that he's made as far as why he RORs people, but obviously that's still a concern for people when you see people with these kind of high level violent charges that are released on their own recognizance. Obviously that's a concern for a lot of people, and so I guess that's really all I'll say on that. I think it's definitely something to follow up on, but as far as what Anderson said, I think that's just where his mindset is on that, that's I'm not a judge, I'm not a lawyer, and there's only, and so I think it's just one of those things that we have to keep looking at. But I think people are concerned, and so.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, Aaron Fleming, Daily Memphian reporter. I would recommend our thousands of viewers who watch us each and every morning on the digital desk to check out his article, Few Trials, Many Dismissals at 201 Poplar. He wrote it a few days ago. Again, dailymemphian.com. Check it out. Keep that old school reporting going, Aaron, and we'd love to check back in with you to hear what else you have cooking on the pages of Daily Memphian. Thanks very much. Happy holidays.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 First Alert Digital Desk here. And of course, we're talking about a very cold start to your day across the Mid-South. At least, though, sunshine wins out and temperatures warm up into the 40s, close to 50 degrees this afternoon. But one thing to note is that we'll start to see a few clouds sneaking back into the skies as well. And those clouds thicken up as we roll through the next 24 hours. And that will be part of the story for the better part of probably the next 7 to 10 days, honestly. More clouds in the skies across the area amid milder temperatures. Cold start on our way towards the 40s this afternoon. Again, maybe eking out 50 if you can stand enough sunshine, but we'll see a few high-level clouds start to streak across the skies as we head towards the late afternoon, early evening hours. Those clouds will start to thicken up as we get through the overnight period into the start of your Wednesday. Morning start in the 30s. We'll work our way back towards the 50s by the afternoon hours. See the clouds breaking a little bit overnight Wednesday into early Thursday. Again, starting off in the 30s, and then you notice here come the clouds rolling back in here. So we'll go with a variably cloudy look as we head towards your Thursday. Rain holding off, but it's on its way and will be making its presence known as we head towards the upcoming weekend. Notice those rain opportunities. I think on Friday we'll have a 20% chance for a shower. Probably the best chances in eastern Arkansas, to be honest. Then opportunities for rain start to sneak up a little bit. 30 to 40% opportunities going into your Saturday. All amid temperatures in the upper 50s to near 60 degrees. But a first alert to a soggy sleigh ride for Santa's arrival here in the Mid-South. And that's going to bring us waves of rain, a few storms through the weekend. And of course, if you've got travel plans, could be impactful from the standpoint of dealing with the rain showers, some gusty breezes from time to time, and mild temperatures will keep us away from having a white Christmas. Here's a look at that storm system. And really, it's two different storm systems. One that it will be exiting on Friday into Saturday. Another one will be reloading back out to the west. This one's the one that's going to be coming onshore on the west coast Thursday, leading into Friday, into Saturday, coming out of the desert southwest, coming in our direction, bringing us waves of scattered showers, maybe a few rumbles of thunder by the time we head towards your Sunday into Monday. Of course, it could be the reds and greens on the radar, along with the reds and greens of your Christmas tree lights. As we go through that time frame, of course, it will be a wet go of things for Christmas Day. And then eventually a frontal boundary will make some progress through the area that will eventually usher in some cooler air. But I don't think we're talking about that happening until probably the middle portion of next week. In the meantime, 48, lots of sunshine. Enjoy it while we have it today. Winds turning more southerly. That's going to help to import the clouds, import the moisture that will bring us in more clouds for Wednesday and Thursday. We'll call it variably cloudy to mostly cloudy these days as temperatures warm up middle and upper 50s tomorrow. Closer to 60 come Thursday, and then eventually a couple of shower chances Friday, Saturday, more so Christmas Eve and into Christmas Day, and probably lingering into the day after Christmas before beginning to slowly but surely trend drier by the back end of next week.
Okay, that does it for us here in the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Have yourself a wonderful afternoon. We got Action News 5 Midday coming to you in just a few minutes with Ariana Poindexter taking you through the next hour. And then enjoy the afternoon. We'll be back here on the Digital Desk bright and early tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. We go to 7 to 11 each and every weekday morning. You can find us streaming on actionnews5.com, also on our free mobile app and all of our digital platforms, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, YouTube, and Roku. And you can also watch us on TV, digital channel 5.5 or channel 907 on Xfinity. Midday is next.